Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Cantina MX podcast. Very happy to have you guys along with us live here on the YouTube. And of course, you can listen to this in previous editions of the Cantina MX podcast. Download it on iTunes or at the Google Play Center as well. So we do appreciate your patronage. Thanks very much for joining us. My name is John Jagu. We have a lot to discuss tonight. We have another distinguished panel of guests with us, as you all know, and they will be joining us here shortly, some of the other folks that aren't on. We do have a couple of folks live, and we will get to them. Of course, a gentleman who has joined us for the past couple of weeks joins us again, Chiva de Puro Corazón. Of course, we're talking about Rigoberto El Ratón Ayala. Rigo, how are you?
How are you? How are you? It's a new one, El Ratón. Must be the ears.
Are you not familiar with El Ratón Ayala?
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm only familiar with El Ratón Zárate.
I see.
It might have been before my time.
Probably was. No, he was a Central from Argentina that he was a Mexico killer. He was just a good, a very good defender. But they knew him as El Ratón. There's probably other Ratón Ayalas too. I think Ronnie de Luna joins us from Philadelphia. Ronnie, do you remember any other Ratón Ayalas, or am I just thinking of the guy from Argentina?
Ratón Ayala.
I almost want to think that there was one from
No.
that played with America, but I might be wrong.
No, I think you're right. Necaxa or America, one of the two.
Ruben Ayala. Hugo Ayala Sanabria.
Yeah.
Oh, this is way before my time.
Well, that's...
and then there was... then there was Roberto Ayala, who was also nicknamed El Ratón.
See, so you join a long and illustrious line of Ratón Ayala. So you should be proud. You should, wear it as a badge of honor.
It wasn't in the book by Isaac Wolfson, the one about the professional. It was it has all the stats from 1943 to 1996. There's a section with all like a bunch of nicknames. So I'll have to look at it.
You'll have to go into the. I need to find some. Whenever we find out what the leitmotif is in Game of Thrones, of the Citadel storyline, we might have to grab a few seconds of that just to.
Hey, speaking of nicknames, did you guys ever get any while playing football?
I don't think I did, and that's Joel Aceves, who joins us from Los Angeles. Joel, good to have you on. I never got a nickname playing football, but I had other nicknames from other things that happened to me. So
mine
I'm not
was
sure if I want to open that can of worms.
The Durango Kid.
You were that.
Yeah, we used to make fun of each other's parents.
Yeah.
Is that what
it was all in good fun, dude. We used to make fun of each other's parents.
Are you saying that like Durango is like the Yo Mama joke capital of the world?
No. The thing is that when you know that when you call somebody something and it bothers them, obviously you're gonna keep on doing it, right? So none of the things that they would talk, that they would tell me or they would talk about my folks, it wouldn't faze me. So they would try to find things. So my dad, wearing his boots, they used to call him the Durango Kid. So they used to call me to the Durango Kid. It was always. It wasn't good fun.
The Durango Kid. This reminds me when I used to play Sunday, the Sunday pub league teams.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that really wanted a nickname. And until one day we're playing and the coach is yelling at him, Viste, and my friend gets excited, he finally has a nickname. So at the end of the game, he goes to the coach. And he's like all excited. He's like, why are you calling me bistec? And the coach is like, es que eres un pedazo de buey. This guy was excited. Right? He kept messing up. He didn't know.
What a great way to earn a nickname.
Bistec.
You think that you get it for something.
Speaking of nicknames, the one that had one of the most epic nicknames passed away recently, Flounder. From
he passed away last week.
Yeah.
That movie's making the rounds, and for your young kids who have not seen Animal House, you need to get right on that.
Yeah, because I know you have a lot of those sound bites from Animal House.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Exactly.
Love that movie. Love that movie.
You know, it's making the rounds right now on the pay channel, so I do recommend that you tune in.
Good.
Because you'll get good advice.
My advice to you is to start drinking heavily.
I mean, no, Animal House, for you folks that don't know, was I wish I could remember the guy's name.
Harold Ramis?
Well, him, and then he co-wrote it with Stork.
Yeah.
The guy who played Stork, who they also wrote Caddyshack together. But then the guy ended up dying in a freak accident in Hawaii on a trip with Chevy Chase. I mean, just some epically sad things. But you know, Harold Ramis, as you point out, I mean, how many massively huge comedies did that guy write? I mean, seems like almost all of them. Just a terrific talent. But that'll be a topic for Pinche Joel. See how you get us off topic. And you got the Durango kid here, reminiscing with tears in his eyes about all of your mama jokes that he would get and say, you know, give me another one. I could take it.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, we're gonna see if another guy earned a nickname on Wednesday, and that was Juan Carlos Osorio for dropping the mother effer bomb on worldwide TV. So he has to be shaft. I mean, there's no.
John, do you think if it was another Mexican coach and they would have had that image of motherfucker, stuff like that? Do you think the press would have been more harsh?
Oh yeah.
Why?
I'm asking.
You mean if it would have been? I mean, I guess it depends on the coach. I mean, I'm not sure what trap you're setting for me here.
I don't think so, Ron. I'll give you the rundown. What's it? Aguirre kicking a Panamanian.
Sorry, Joel.
You had Paco Ramirez slapping Frankie Haydude.
Yeah.
You had Necio de Maria flicking off the U.S. fans, or who was he? He gave the finger to them.
Yeah. He flipped off. He flipped off Sam's Army or the American Outlaws or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You don't think if it would have been Miguel Herrera, they wouldn't have flipped out?
I don't think it matters. I mean, what it just, it was.
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's just, but you know how the Mexican media is.
Well, you know what? If they have an agenda against you, they would.
Well, they have an agenda against them, so they do.
So I mean, with Piojo, not the Piojo that started his cycle, but the one that was tweeting for the Green Party. Yeah, that guy would have been relentlessly attacked.
Yeah. So Joel, after the, are you guys already talking about the match or not yet?
No, we haven't jumped quite into that breach yet, but I know that you're chomping at the bit. You're frothing at the mouth.
Did you guys already talk about
let all the hate flow through? You're like
Did you guys already talk about the Mexican fans that got thrown out of the stadium?
Was it how many? Was it 2 of them?
I think so. It was just a couple. I don't remember the exact amount. But
no, I mean, we haven't gotten into the benefit. I mean, but by all means, if you want to hijack the conversation to talk about 2 ruffians that were escorted from the stadium for chanting something which apparently is now expressly forbidden to do in a stadium.
Yeah. Those fans apparently to leave Russia, I think they have to pay almost like $500.
They had to leave Russia.
Yeah. Well, they had to come up with the money for the fine, and then they had to leave.
So they're kicking them out of the country.
Yeah, but they had to pay the fine so they can get their visas. I mean, that's what I read. And but and
so you haven't verified. Did you look at a couple of places, or was this like a story from Pancho, who's from Durango, who's in Sochi for?
No. It was, I think it was one of the legit newspapers, But no, the reason I bring it up because earlier today in the Twitter feed I kind of got into an exchange with the guys from Pancho Villa's army and stuff like that about and the thing is I don't say the puto chant. I mean for the past since 02, 03, I mean, I go to games. I'm basically sitting pitch side taking photographs. It's not like I'm chatting with anybody or I go to games by myself, taking photographs and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm the one out there,
Dude, I have seen you doing with your hands up in the air with camera around the neck, just as everybody else.
No, but I will say
this.
I will say this: when I'm sitting pitch side taking photographs, and this was true in Germany, and this was true in South Africa. Like you would have other photographers who didn't speak Spanish. They would ask you, what are they saying? And it's like everybody just would laugh about it. Everybody would laugh about it. So it's like, but I guess the little exchange that I had with the guys from Pancho Villas, earlier today on Twitter was that it's not that I'm saying not to comply with not saying the puto chant and stuff like that. My beef stems from being the FIFA are a bunch of hypocrites because they're finding Chile, I think they find like a total of like 3 or 4 other American countries within the last year and a half, Mexico being one of them, and now they're threatening them to kick them out. But yet the human rights record from Russia and Qatar in respects to women's rights and in respects to homosexuals and stuff like that, it's abysmal. And I get when people say, well, it doesn't matter, we just have to comply. I say, well, from my point of view, it does matter because right now FIFA is still in damage control mode, because of the whole Chuck Blazer, FBI anal probe.
Well, exactly, and you're absolutely right. And who better to make an example of by kicking him out of a tournament or whatever it is?
No. But what I'm saying is
but what's happening, Ron, is you have to understand that now everything what you said is exactly true. You are 100% right. But the narrative now has changed to where it's Mexico. They're the ones that are being with this chance. So we need to nip that, and that's going to show how FIFA is, there. And people will totally gloss over the other thing. I'm telling you, this is.
But if the press had a little bit more backbone, is they would basically call FIFA out for their bullshit rather than say.
But the press does. The press has.
No, it has. I mean, what aside from like Real Sports and like a report from what was it? I don't remember which British one. It was the Mail or the Guardian, whatever. And they did fantastic piece.
Dude, almost every person that I follow on the Twitter, who when Russia made the announcement, almost every journalist and I follow a lot of journalists. I prefer to follow journalists.
Yeah.
Said exactly what you said. Russia are being a bunch of hypocrites for.
But they're saying, but they're not pressing harder, with the homophobic chants of puto, which you can argue or you can argue one way or another that it's not homophobic. It's more just a means to chingar,
Here's my big bitch about the puto chant is that yes, the word at one point and maybe in other parts of the world means gay man hooker.
Yeah.
Right. That's what puto is. That's one of the definitions. But in Mexico, that's not what it means at all. In Mexico, I mean, it's essentially the equivalent of saying motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But the
unfortunately,
it's like girly man.
See, now I feel bad that I said both those terms in front of a Mormon. Alberto Chiquis Campa joins us.
I don't think it's MF, or I think it's more like.
See, I thought that you weren't on there.
I think it's more like bitch.
Yeah, exactly like that. But that's essentially saying you're a girly man. You're a B.
Well, see, but that's not how I've thought of it at all. But that's just me. I guess I'm whatever. And I just look at severity of cuss word. It's like, you can call somebody. To me, if someone's doing something stupid or whatever, to me he's a pendejo. That to me means dumbass.
But
it has a lot of meanings. It has a lot of meanings. I think.
It does. It does have a meaning. But like going back to what I'm saying is that like right now FIFA is still in damage control mode.
Right. And who better to siphon off that image than onto this country? That's what I'm telling you. Is that they have Mexico has now become their, the poster child for this particular scandal, so that they don't have to worry about the other stuff.
I think it's also that somebody's pushing FIFA to do this against Mexico.
Of course they are.
For some reason. So it could be like a federation. It could be some other group that wants.
I mean, I heard on ESPN they were saying that I think it's the Russian Federation. Because if the Mexicans were to do the chant at confederations, it would give them a reason to take away points away, and thus Russia,
exactly.
who is the host nation, would go on to the next round.
Exactly.
No, I understand that,
Wow.
but they've been fined. They were fined way before Russia.
I'm sure that's
Oh, yeah.
planned.
You know, they were fined way before Russia. But the thing is, you know, you're going to have to attack. You know, you're going to have to say, oh, okay, well, they're doing something about it. But no, they really haven't done anything about it, because Russia is still hosting a World Cup, and Qatar is still hosting a World Cup. So you have to put pressure. You have to put pressure on their FIFA partners, on Coca-Cola, on Budweiser, on Visa, and stuff like that.
I agree, but that's in the background though. That's like
but
that's background issue.
Actually, no, well,
This is in the stadium.
That's where you really make the change.
But you know what happens, Ronnie? You're again. You're absolutely 100% right. But then you know what happens? Who calls the very next day when Coke drops World Cup sponsorship?
What's up?
Who calls the very next day?
In terms of
Pepsi.
Exactly. And then they make the deal with Pepsi. So
well,
I mean, again,
here's a devil's advocate on that. Pepsi leaves, Visa leaves, you know, Canon leaves and stuff like that. All these American and European companies leave, and I've actually thought about this. They leave because of the corporate pressure. Who would fill in their spots? Basically, companies from China, companies from the Middle East, companies from maybe even, you know, other countries that have deep pockets but don't really have the same human right, you know, records that they have, you know, in the Western countries. And, you know, I'm thinking it could be worse.
But Ron, don't you think that's where that's where FIFA's headed? Given with now the 48 team World Cup, and you're gonna have you will have now China and India.
Well, they're expanding their team.
Here's the thing. In fact, Real Sports had a really wonderful report on this with Brian Gumbo and stuff. They were talking about, you know, obviously the Olympic white elephants, you know, the massive spending, you know, that goes on in these international tournaments. And, you know, we've talked about this, how, you know, these events are basically, you know, are used to basically launder money and stuff like that. And one of the things that like the IOC and FIFA are starting to realize is that rather than going to Europe, rather than going to, like, you know, the US or stuff like that, where, you know, there's stricter laws and stuff like that, they're starting to go to these other countries like Russia, like Qatar, where, you know, they can get away with a lot more. And
right. So Infantino says we need to clean up FIFA, blah blah blah, and then he goes, "Wow, so they were just making this much with a 32-team World Cup. Imagine how much I could make with a 48-team World Cup."
I think that's you know, when it gets to 48, I don't think I'll be going to World Cups.
Well, even now it's not worth going, especially to big countries.
No,
because Ron, you know the difference between Germany and like South Africa.
Yeah, dude.
What about?
Yeah, I've told you this before, you know, Joel, that, you know, in Germany, and, you know, you were there, dude. You could be deaf, you know, you could be deaf, blind, and crippled, and you could have gone around, you know, Germany with no fucking problems.
Yeah, but you know,
dumb and stupid.
Yeah,
I saw the travel logistics. So when I was seeing South Africa, and I saw you basically had to take flights.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh no, I'm not going.
No,
it's all business, you know.
I mean, Russia is the largest country in the world still, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they put the games far from each other. They're not close by, so you're gonna have to do all these cross-country flights.
I may have to pass up this World Cup, and I told you guys, I'd rather go cover a Euro Cup, or I'm even considering really going to the Rugby World Cup in Japan. I think it was France or Japan. I forget where it is, but I'd rather go to that.
Why don't you go to the Cricket World Cup?
The smells.
In Pakistan, or
do they do oil changes in rugby?
No. Well, speaking of cricket, I read an article. What was it that I think they arrested Indian students for clapping or cheering on the Pakistani team.
Ron just wants to see if they have designated shitting streets.
Ranveer. Ranveer.
Ranjit.
You see how they disrespect me, Rico?
Me estoy avergonzado.
I get no respect. I get no respect.
None.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and just put an end to that right now. All right. Well, but I think that's changing, though. I think that what you're saying, Ron, I think that was their older way. I think now they're starting to realize that if they want their event to survive, they're going to have to start changing the way they're doing. I mean, the next Olympics is going to be in Tokyo, so that there's no white elephants in Tokyo. You know, I said that's not a spot where they have to build a bunch of stuff, and then the one after that's probably going to be in Los Angeles. So another place that's not going to have to do as much. And then these next World Cups, I'm pretty sure England is in line for a World Cup. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the one after the one in US it goes to England.
Argentina, Uruguay should be in line as well.
Yeah, just because of the Centenario thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? And that one again wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if that World Cup ends up being played in more than just Argentina and Uruguay. I bet you it goes Argentina. I bet you Chile gets some games. I bet you some other places get some games too.
Chile was they're already talking about winning a World Cup.
Yeah.
And they're connected, so
yeah. So
they're right there with
the future of World Cups is multiple country World Cups, I think. And I think it's gonna. And I personally, I mean, if it's gonna be that many teams, I think it actually could be.
Uruguay only has one stadium.
But we should now. We've been on for 20 minutes now, and we haven't talked about the game yesterday. We talked about some stuff, but we probably should jump into that. Was waiting for other folks to hop on, but we have Chiquis with us. Chiquis, are you still in Tampa, or are you back stateside?
No, I'm back.
You're back.
Yep, back to the state or the country of Texas.
Right. Well, good to have you, Chiquis. Well, I'm going to start with you, Chiquis. So I know that some of us could not watch the game because of the time it was on, but some of us could. So Chiquis, were you able to watch, observe, and absorb?
Yeah, I was able to watch it on part of it one day, and then the rest on the evening on NBC Universal in HD. Actually, so I was surprised. I've been watching this whole thing on FS1, but the thing that stood out to me, of course, every channel, even whoever the guys are in FS1, were talking about the changes, the 8 changes.
Right.
And that was like the main thing in the first half. You could just see how something was going to happen. But even like on Twitter, we're talking with Johnny Rico, and I think I don't know if Rico was on there, but about how the midfield was just horrible, and Reyes was just all by himself. He was actually
he literally was all by himself. It was a one-man midfield. It was a one-man midfield and 6 forwards.
Yeah, once he got.
I wasn't in that conversation, but I was saying it the whole game.
Yeah, once he got, or yeah, maybe I heard or read some of your comments as well.
Rigo, did your mouth get dry, Rigo, because you were so spitting mad that like you spit everything out, and by the end of it,
I was infuriated. I was in my office.
Yeah, you were.
And
were you pounding?
My boss walks into my office, and I'm thinking he's going to ask me about work, and he's like,
"Right,
what is Mexico doing?" And I was like, I
have no idea, boss. I'm sitting here working. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm like this. I told, because he's actually a Portugal fan. This is what I told you Sunday. I was like, our coach stinks. I'm like, we're out there with no midfield. I'm like, how do you play a game when you have no real center midfielders out there?
And it's interesting in his interview. You can tell that I was posting on Twitter. You can tell the arrogance in his post-game interview. How he says, "Oh, in the second half, this was our plan to bring in Herrera and bring in some changes, and you saw what happened." And he, his like the whole thing was planned out. The first half was going to be, some.
Yeah. We're gonna go down 1-0 in the first half because we're going to be sloppy in our clearances, and we're going to give the Kiwis a huge boost of confidence and a chance they can.
Just a bad lineup, a bad formation.
Yeah. And
then once Hector comes in, Reyes was actually the guy who made the initial run, so that Oribe could get that goal, the game-winning goal. So it's all about formation and players that are on there, and he messed up in the first half royally.
You know what I didn't understand is, you're watching the game. He's supposed to be a tactician. Salcedo gets injured, right? You already have a center back on the field. Why not take out Salcedo, who's injured, put Reyes back in that position, and then put Herrera in at that point? Well, when it's still a relatively,
because
it's not early.
He doesn't think in practical terms. He's not a practical coach.
I think what Ronnie's trying to say is that he's clinically insane. His concepts of reality are completely
wrong. I can see that the man does study the game. I can see that. I'll give him that. Okay. What I'm still not convinced is that I'm not convinced that he's a good manager, and I'm sure as hell convinced that he's not a good coach. Because in my suspicions, it's of him as the manager of Mexico is that he is too reliant on a system and not on the players that he has. And that became, to me, at least very evident a couple months back when he was on ESPN, discussing tactics with El Chelis. And it seemed to me that it's like he thinks that everything's a chalkboard, that he can solve everything on the chalkboard, with moving little pieces here and there. And there's a time and place for that, but yeah.
The nerve of a coach to think that he can solve problems by drawing them out. What? But the thing, really, Ryan? Yeah, I totally agree with you 100%.
Every manager,
how dare he? How dare he?
Who I don't remember, it was Menotti or Bilardo, one of those two. Says the problem is that when the whistle blows, all the pieces move. And I just think that he overthinks things. He just complicates the game a little bit more. I mean, it's funny because for me, a coach that made the game a lot simpler in terms of how he wanted the game to play, but he did horrible as a coach from Mexico, was Ojitos Mesa. And I think the problem with Ojitos Mesa was the players that he wanted to bring onto his team. Tactically, I think he's a brilliant coach. I think with Osorio is he's got the team, but he just doesn't know how to play. Doesn't know how to position the players accordingly.
Well, he tried a crazy positioning in this, but he's not going to do that against the Russia because he is, based on the way he's played away games in CONCACAF qualifying, he is going to play the Russians completely different, obviously, than how he played against New Zealand.
He played
straight up away game.
He played Giovanni and Marco Fabian opposite of their natural positions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know what the sad thing was is that I was watching the aside from the fact that what Marco did a little, Giovanni did. Well, hang on a second. Giovanni is not he's not known for his defense. Marco did defend a little bit, but Giovanni, I thought at least of all the players that played in that game in that first half, I thought they had a really decent first half, but he just didn't defend. I mean, he had no interest, and he was playing the position that he wants to play, which is right in as the guy in front of the forwards. That's where Giovanni plays. That's where he should play. I mean, he is. His body physique is turning into like a real 10, and I mean the number 10, not the Bo Derek 10.
Hey, John.
But
yes.
Do you think because I mean I've kind of noticed that more and more TV personalities, both players and journos are starting to not necessarily turn on him, but really starting to question him.
Well, I think anybody would have questioned him. Anybody would have questioned him. Now, I'm not going to defend the guy, but I'm going to throw out some theories as to why it happened.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not. I want to preface this by saying I'm not defending this. I was just thinking in my head. All right, so this guy's a really analytical guy. What possessed him to make the decisions that he made? And the very obvious one was that Portugal beat Russia in the early game. So they really had. I mean, this game was essentially meaningless for Mexico. I mean, they could lose and they could still qualify for the next round by beating the Russians. So,
He also had the previous example of Piojo beating them with scrub at Liga MX players, and so he thought probably he could do the same thing.
Well, I don't think that really played into it as much. The other thing that I was thinking is, well, okay, so he's had these guys that they've played 3 games in 10 days or whatever it was, and sandwiched in there were a bunch of ridiculous trips, especially, and then the one to Russia and they've been flying. So why don't we, give these guys a break? I'll have them, good to go for the for the Russia game, and let the chips fall where they may. Russia's going to be a little more tired than Mexico. Maybe Mexico can catch them on some breaks. I think regardless of what he decided, it was not. It was. I just think it was a stupid. I mean, I remember watching Spain play Tahiti in the previous one, and Spain didn't go out there changing a whole bunch of dudes, and they went out there and they played Spain soccer and Tahiti. I'm sure they're like, hey guys, we could score 30 on you if we wanted, but we're going to take it easy on you and score 10 instead. And I'm sure Tahiti was happy and they respected the game. If Tahiti is just that bad, then you know what, they're going to get beat that bad.
Yeah, I remember
against them, but that's how we're going to play. We're not going to score. We're going to score.
He's so worried about what the opponent's going to do that
he does obsess about that.
He pretty much like leaves his team out to dry because he's obsessing over what the other team is going to do to him. I mean, in the second half when he makes the adjustments and he moves Giovanni and Marco Fabian to their natural sides, there was an improvement, at least on Marco Fabian's play. He was playing a little bit better.
Yeah, and he was taking some shots.
He was providing a little bit of depth for allowing Aquino to make those deep runs. But I mean, when you play guys out of position, and you play guys that don't play together, especially in soccer, which is a sport where, I mean, and every sport that you play, you need, cohesion and to know how each other plays and where each other is going to be. And when you rotate 8 guys, including the goalie, you're bound to have issues. I mean, in the first half, Talavera gives a pass to Araujo and it goes right by him. Like he didn't know what he was doing.
Going back to that, I question his, like you're talking about, the cohesion and stuff. As a national team coach, you don't get the players very often. You get them once a month, twice a month if you're lucky. So for him to still,
I mean, it's usually like.
And the fact that Mexico has more players now playing, in Europe, you have a lot less access to them. It's not like La Volpe, when the clubs would release their players and they would have 3-4 day training sessions. Osorio doesn't have that luxury, and I think I think you're supposed to manage a club team a lot differently from a national team.
Well, one thing that we also have to keep in mind with this cat is that he's not coaching Mexico as much as he is auditioning for future gigs.
Yeah, we know that's true.
Yeah, so.
But I think he wants to make.
Go ahead, Juan.
No, I feel that he wants to make rotaciones a thing. He's gonna go to the World Cup. And that's going to be his.
The Germans did rotate 4 players today, and no one seemed to have a heart attack.
But if you look at Chile, they've been playing with basically the same squad for like 5-6 years.
For 10 years, because those guys were they were in the same U20 that Carlos Vela and Gio were in.
You look at Spain; they pretty much trot out the same lineup. You look at Germany. I mean, right now they have they're playing with basically a U23 squad out there, but
they're still fantastic.
They are still fantastic because they have continuity throughout their youth system and their senior team.
Well, Germany after the 2004 Euro, where they did and for the second Euro in a row, mind you, did not get out of the group stage. They decided right then and there that this ends and this ends now, and they made a
huge overhaul.
They just went in and completely changed the whatever they needed to do. That's what they're going to do, and 13 years later, you're seeing the massive fruits of that. And let's face it, I mean, the Bundesliga. I know that they have their super team, but all the other team, it's probably, aside from having their crazy super team, it is probably the closest thing to Liga MX as far as parity, because even bad German teams are still pretty decent, and they can still beat from third place down, from 3 down to 20. It's a pretty even league. Yeah,
it is.
I mean, and that's what makes it so exciting. Is I'm getting to the point where the Bundesliga is becoming my favorite European league, just because the games are crazy good. I mean, they're a lot of fun to watch. And obviously, and it's German. I mean, let's face it. German has a bad team and they lose the final. When they have good teams, they win. I mean, that's just.
I mean, I was talking to my brother today because we were watching the rerun of the Chile game, and I'm like, if this game ended 1-1 with the U23 German team, I can only imagine what the senior club would do. They probably would have won at least 3-1. And I mean, Chile was playing really, really good.
No, Chile's a good. I mean, they're both. They were both. It was two good teams playing each other.
And that was another point I've been making. Chile is experiencing their golden generation, and what a difference good coaching makes for Chile as opposed to Mexico, who's supposed to be experiencing their golden generation, and we have games versus New Zealand where we struggle because we don't have good coaching or continuity.
But and the worst part about that is it is forced lack of continuity. It is a deliberate lack of continuity. I mean, that to me was the biggest the biggest stumbling block of this whole Osorio thing. Is, as Ronnie was saying, if you only have these guys for a short period of time, you want to be able to do what you do really well. Kind of like the way Tuca did. Hey boys, take a knee. How do you like playing? Oh, like that. Well, that's what we're gonna do. And and Tuca's whole thing is we're gonna play like that, and that's how it's gonna be. Don't lose your shape, or mantengan orden. And this guy, unfortunately, with as much change, not just changing the players, but constantly changing the setup and the style of play. It's just he just invites too much chaos
and their positions.
Yeah, and then put him out of position, right?
I mean, for example, in the Portugal game, I thought tactically he actually came out very well. He, the wanting to pressure Portugal very high, keep possession. But I thought he could have got a lot more out of certain positions. Like, why play Chicharito on the wing when he is not a strong dribbler?
That didn't really bother me as much, only because I mean, and he and Jimenez interchanged. I mean, like every about every 2 possessions down the field. So that really didn't bother me. And he still, he was in the middle when the ball came in, and that's where you want him to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And besides, Jimenez to me is a star of that team. He is, if anyone's having a good Copa Confederations, it's Jimenez, man. He is a straight up, why he isn't the focus of this team is just beyond me.
Yeah, I would start him at the number 9 spot over Cheech.
I mean, that goal he scored. I mean, aside and now and that's how Osorio has been bailed out. Is that Mexico is winning despite him
on individualities.
On individual, which is I hate to say it, but that's how a lot of national teams win the close games.
Although Jimenez did miss an easy goal at the end of the game.
Yeah, but that was he did, but that was a hell of a defensive play by the defender to block that one. But you're right, though. He should have. He definitely should have scored there.
You know what, Yon? I'm gonna say it again. I think that's.
Are you gonna insult me, Joel?
No. I'm just saying. I'm just saying what Osorio's intentions are, and we've
Are his intentions noble, Joel? Does he have noble intentions?
For him, it's a big gamble, but like in the past, you had the coaches that went with the WM formation, then you had like Catenaccio, then you had teams doing the 4-4-2. So I think his thing is the whole rotation, and if we could pull it off in the World Cup.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that
he could probably influence other teams to adapt
vamos
his
a
style.
usar el estilo rotación osoriana.
Well, I mean, yeah, because he had made, he studied all these styles. He so then he formulated his own, and
Okay, so here's the thing. So you're absolutely right. So he has the rotaciones, right? If it works and he wins, then what do people say? Well, the only reason he won is because he was doing all the rotaciones that we thought we were crazy, but it ended up paying off for him at the end.
But even if they say it though, you will see other teams that are gonna, or coaches that are gonna try it.
Joel, we saw it today. We saw it today with the Germans. The Germans
No, but I think
cambiaron
that's
cuatro jugadores. Cuatro jugadores cambiaron, Joel. ¿Cómo me puedes decir, Joel, que es diferente?
But that's more adjustments as opposed to a full rotation.
So that's what they took the team for.
He's doing hockey. He's doing hockey rotations.
He played an alternate squad for a weaker team, so he could rest some players and get them ready for the next rounds. It's like a strategy to assume that they're going to make it past the group stage, and then they'll be ready for the next round. And then have their.
Well, aren't we down 2 players now? Salcedo is out.
And Moreno's up. Salcedo had a separated shoulder. He's out for 3 months actually. So that's very unfortunate. That's like the worst thing that can happen.
Two quality defenders are missing. We might have to.
Rafa might have to play.
Marquez,
yeah,
who are he might not have the legs to compete with some of these faster teams.
Rafa was not looking good in that. I don't know what y'all thought, but Rafa
I told you guys
was hanging on. I told
you guys last week.
That's because he hasn't played.
Hey, but see, Rafa's going to the World Cup because we need another Cinco Copas, and he's going no matter what. He could be on a wheelchair. He's gonna be wheeled over there, just because
that was the other thing that I was watching that Cachirules thing, and Hugo thought that he was going to get.
You can say it. You can say it, Joel, for why he's won.
The rec.
Hay niveles.
Ron, if mira, si vas a insultar, Ron, say it right. It's hay niveles, güey, not niveles. No mames.
Speaking of mispronunciations and stuff, I was watching FS1. Fernando Fiori is like the worst. I can't stand. Like I would fire him and hire those guys, Nico and whoever else that does the English for Facebook. He was like saying some weird junk, didn't even make any sense. He used the word varsity like in the first team. He used the word varsity.
I'm surprised he's still working.
In English, it's just horrible, man. I cannot stand.
He's a joke.
Hey guys.
His best days were Lente Loco, man.
Yeah. Let's
Fuera de serie.
Yeah, Odalis, and then he had. Yeah, there you go. Oh, Lente Loco was Odalis. First serie was Sofia. His best contribution to TV right there.
And for that alone, he should at least get a star on the.
He would always find a way to have her in a bikini.
You think he tagged her?
No matter where they were.
God bless him.
Or you think he tagged her?
He went. Oh. No, I think she was with Luis Miguel at the time.
With Luis Miguel, somos dos.
Yes, sir.
Dos. Wow. I'll date myself if I sing that song. No, absolutely date myself.
She did have luggage.
She did. So she came with a trophy.
She did have luggage, so.
Wasn't it during the USA World Cup that show was on? So they would show their promo for their show. I mean, in every commercial break for a month. for Lente Loco. Do y'all remember that? It's like they'd show that one, and then they'd show whichever hot novela was on, and you didn't even have to watch the actual novela to figure out what happens that month because you could figure it out just from the promos.
John, I'm still wondering what he did because Univision used to have a really good soccer program with Norberto Longo and Andres Cantor.
Right.
Very professional.
Oh yeah.
Very professional, man. They covered everything, and all of a sudden it was Fiore with Las Senadoras, and it was like. It was
hard. It was hard for me to watch, man.
Yeah, I would see it with the sound off, just for the senadoras.
That was one of the worst shows of all time.
I mean, you have to remember back then what was it called, like Titulares Deportivo or whatever the show was called. Was the only show on in the entirety of American programming that had soccer on. It was the only way you could find out what happened.
Well,
John, you could replace me with a senadora, John. I wouldn't mind.
Well, hey, it was in.
But you have to be on video.
It was in '97 when they finally got Galavisión, and that's.
Oh, that was amazing.
And that's when you started. To get like La
Jugada.
And like Noticiero Televisa, Deportes. So I mean, for me, '97 was the real game changer because that's when you actually had the actual feeds from Mexico.
Right.
And for me, it was a lot better than just República Deportiva and showcase.
Well, sure. I mean, just the whole the Univision, because I think Fiore made his debut on Univision Deportes in the '98 World Cup, and it was so obvious because Andrés Cantor is having the like the world just the way the whole presentation of the tournament was through Fiore, and he got better as he went on. I mean, at first it was so awkward, and I'll never forget when Mexico lost to Germany 2-1, and frankly, what was one of the hardest afternoons of my soccer watching life because they were ahead. They go to commercial break after the game's over. They come back to him in the studio, and he's like, "No lloren, está bien." And it's like I flipped him off double barrel. But
would have stabbed him. Would have stabbed him if I was there.
Did you say I wasn't the only one, Joel? Is that what you said?
And I said he rustled you.
He did. I was in no condition to be messed with at that time. But I think back at it now, I think it's actually I think it's pretty funny. All right, so Portugal beats Russia, which means Russia has 3 points, Mexico has 4 points. So the only way that the Russians advance to the group stage, which is what we thought was going to happen, regardless of what happened in the first two games, is that Mexico versus Russia is the quarterfinal, basically determining who makes the semis. Is what this game is going to be, and frankly, if they can manage to advance past that, either Germany or Chile, I don't think it matters. Obviously it would be a better story if it's Chile, but if it's Germany, I mean, it's Germany still. So, but what are we going to see then, boys, on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Central, 8 Pacific, and 11 Eastern against the Russians? It's a home game for the Russians, and it's like I said, it's to qualify for the semifinals. Is Osorio going to be more conservative, or is he going to do this crazy thing where he's going to throw out another, a 1-2-6 formation to have 6 more forwards like he did against the Kiwis?
I think he goes back to his 4-3-3 formation. I think the majority of the guys from the first game are back. Sands, Hector Moreno, and Salcedo. I think he might actually play with 2 actual real fullbacks in Luis Reyes and
he may have
Miguel
no
Layún.
choice. He may have no choice.
Yeah, he may have no choice. Yeah, which I think would be great. I think it would be great if he did that.
To me, I think the only reason that he plays the tall guys as wing backs is that he wants them on the field for set pieces. That's the only reason they're there.
If he's smart, he's practical, and doesn't try any, the crazy stuff that he tries to do. Because I honestly do think that if he does lose and Mexico goes 3 and out, I think he's out.
Yeah, he did not do himself any favors with this New Zealand.
No, I think, and I think if they lose, and it's because of the New Zealand game, because of how poorly they played.
Yeah.
And how poorly he set that match up.
Because I mean, that type of game, that sort of negativity, believe it or not, it does affect the team. When when the press is constantly criticizing you, and it's like, dude, you played this bad against New Zealand. it does take a toll, whether people want to admit it or not, or coach wants to admit it or not. I don't think there was any need for exposing yourself like that. And I think, and I hope they advance, obviously, but I have a feeling that if they don't, I think this is the last of Osorio. I think, the federation will see, well, okay, look, we only need to acquire maybe 1, maybe 2 more points in the qualifiers in CONCACAF. And, that's it. I don't think that they will keep Osorio just to qualify for Russia and then throw him out.
You see, he absolutely hosed himself with what he did, because if say they win, they play their regular guys, they win 3-4-0 against New Zealand, and then they lose to Russia. His job is 100% safe, because if you go against the host and you lose, there's no dishonor in that. Right? It's just it could very well happen. All right, you guys played well, you guys looked good. We're lucky in the end. You can stay, but now he's taken that out of the equation. Now he's like, okay, so you got lucky against Portugal, you stunk up the pitch against New Zealand. You were lucky to get out of there with the win, and now you're going to lose to the Russians on. And because the fact that the team didn't play the full team didn't play all through 3 games, there's no continuity, dude. You got to go. So he opens himself up for that possibility. You're right, Ron.
And the fact if he tries to justify himself that it's a home team, Mexico, believe it or not, in the past 20-25 years, they've done exceptionally well against the host nations. Going back from Ecuador in '93 in the Copa America, beating them in the semifinals. To South Africa,
they
Brazil.
They tied Brazil. They play the U.S. in Gold Cup finals all the time in the U.S. and they do very well.
Obviously, Chile. When they brought up the script team, they tied Chile. What was it, 3-3?
That's right.
So they have like I said, going back 25 years at least, that I can remember, they've done well against host nations. So for him not to do well, it's really concerning, because it's like we're taking a step backwards. We played like crap against New Zealand, and then we can't even play well against the host nation. If anything, they're the ones that have the pressure. It's not Mexico.
But it's actually working out for him. He might come out like a genius, because he's resting his players. This Chicharito, Vela, they were sitting on the bench saying, "Man, we could smoke this team if we were in there," and they might just go in there and smoke Russia. And if it works out that way,
did you guys? I don't know if you guys saw the clip of Valderrama of what he said. Like
that's an old clip.
It's an old clip. When you're a goal scorer and you score in a game, you want to keep playing, because you're on a streak. You're hot.
Yeah.
And it's not just him. I saw Saguinho say it. Paco de Anda said the same thing. Like, when you are a player and you are playing well, you want to keep playing.
Yeah.
And when you rest, it takes you out of your rhythm.
Yeah. I also heard Crash Davis say it.
Hey, we got a caller, by the way.
We Crash do Davis? Not. We have a caller. I didn't even know we had that. I had no idea we had that technology with us tonight. Who has called us, Chiquis?
This is Ray from Milwaukee.
Ray, it's always good to hear from you, Ray.
Milwaukee.
Ray, you're a big Chivas fan, right, Ray?
Huge
Chivas fan. We'll give you a little. Just a little taste.
Thank you. I don't like this coach personally, because it's not the blueprint of success. If you look at what has been successful at the international stage over the past decade, it is consistency. If you look at the blueprint that Italy did when they won the championship, taking a handful of Juve players, the spine of players, and then Spain and Germany have been successful using the same blueprint. And so I really do believe it's how bad they look. This Mexican national team has been together for over a month together, and it looked like they had just gotten off the plane and decided to play against New Zealand.
They looked like a pup team well into their third case of beer.
Bruce Arena was able to do preparing 2 teams in a 2-week span to play 2 games, 2 meaningful games. and the game plan really worked for them. It's not about rotations or anything like. It's extremely hard to be successful that way, and you have to train the players correctly to perform the best, and he's not doing that.
Okay, Ray. So you have the dedazo, right? So you have all the power, and you've gotten rid of Osorio. You think that he's not the right move. So you know what? I'm going to fix things right now. Who you got? Con quién vas? Hit me.
I agree with your 4-3-3 with the three guys that you asked.
No. What?
Jimenez,
which coach? Which coach?
Herrera, and the back line. Well, the back line somewhat subject to change now because Salcedo's out. But before I would have him in there with Layun and Moreno and Reyes.
What about coach though?
Yeah, who's your next coach? Who's your next coach, Ray?
Oh, who's my next coach?
Yeah, you have fired Osorio.
My opinion, I think it's going to be. I want Tuca. To be all honesty, I want Tuca as our next coach. I think he's the best coach in North America, personally. It is so toxic. It is such a shame that the clowns that run Mexican soccer has made the Mexican national team so toxic that a legendary coach in Tuca walked away from it after being successful.
You use your tongue prettier than a $20 whore.
Man, that is just one of the nicest, greatest phone comments I think we've ever had on the show. Being so gracious to Tuca like that. Ray, thank you so much for giving us the knowledge that you have to tell us all about what an excellent choice Tuca would be if things.
John, are you creaming in your pants because of the high praise he gave Tuca?
I'm not gonna lie, Roma. I'm a little out of breath.
Wait, let me bring it down. Let me bring it down. Tuca's one game, his last game with the national team, it had to go to extra time to get the win against the U.S.
But here, hey,
it wasn't impressive.
He played against Argentina.
No le voy a discutir con usted.
Dude,
he had a fantastic game. He set up the team fantastically against Argentina, and
yeah,
he did.
That was the best Mexico has ever played Argentina.
Oh, I thought, yeah. I thought it was
the way that Tuca played then.
Actually, La Volpe did good.
Oh, stop it!
No.
They played Argentina twice
in the World Cup
oh, come on! They had one shot on goal in that game again. Yeah, one shot on goal.
After the Tuca game, the Argentine coach was rustled. I mean, he was just what's his name? In 06, the coach. I mean, I think he was just in disbelief because of just how well fought out the game was, and I do give you that. But as far as Mexico outplayed Argentina that game, that Tuca out coached them big time.
Yeah, it was only because of stupid mistakes that ended up costing Mexico.
Yeah, so I mean, and given the amount of time that he had with the team, and just he tried to keep things simple, and I said this and I've said this many times. The KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. It works in every industry, every type of job. Keep the game simple, keep it simple. And Tuca was a mess. It was beautiful with it, with the team.
Hey, speaking about Russell though, when Osorio was yelling MFer and getting all upset, I didn't even see the big deal, like fair play and all that stuff. The dude got hurt or whatever. But I think he would never have done that against a higher tier team like Portugal or maybe even Russia. It was just because he was so frustrated and he let out his emotions. Usually, like in the Chile game, he wasn't going crazy.
Yeah,
he was yelling. He was just sitting back all humiliated. But in this game, he was going all crazy because it was a lower tier team, a team where they should have came out and won. And he was frustrated. He knew he was screwing up, and it leaked out.
Well, maybe he was trying to. Maybe it was a deliberate act. Maybe he was trying to light a fire under his team.
Yeah.
Oh. If you're such a calculating guy,
but what fire was needed to beat a New Zealand team? Why do you?
Evidently, they needed one because they came out flat. And that was on him. It's like, man, I really screwed this up. Let me go yell at some Kiwis. Maybe that'll get my boy riled up. Of course, he could have just gotten mad.
What I thought was funny was that when he was talking about the game before, they're talking about they're all gentlemen and stuff like that. Bringing up the the Hawkeye and the all black team rugby. Talking about that.
Maybe Osorio's like a closet Fernando, where he just walks in and
you're cool.
Actually, he said that the fourth referee was actually cussing at him or insulting him in Spanish. I don't know if it was a Colombian guy or whatever, but that's what he said, that he was being insulted for no reason.
I thought it was the assistant, one of the assistants from New Zealand.
Okay, but hey.
Oh, really? I might have been.
Here's another. And John, can you play the X-File music for this?
Of course. I promised Joel I wouldn't play the X-File music under him, so when I started speaking, we
Can you listen to it and speak it?
Of course.
Now, could it be? I'm just spitballing. That the reason Mexico played so bad against New Zealand is because they had a Chilean player. What's his name, Marco Rojas. And
so you said it was secuelas from La Boda Roja.
Yeah, you think that could be
it? Maybe.
Wait, New Zealand has a Chilean player in their spot.
Yeah, Marco. Yeah, his father's Chilean, and I think he may have gone scared. He got scared.
That brings up another question: if Mexico goes against Chile, is Osorio gonna have to wear dark pants?
John, keep with the music, please. Keep with the music.
Just in case he has an accident on the sidelines.
I feel like I gotta put on my tinfoil hat.
If he plays Chile, if he gets a chance to play Chile again, I can't think of a better way for him to get rid of that stupid Siete-0. Seriously, what a massive opportunity that would be for Mexico to just to kill a monkey before it becomes.
Okay, hey John. Yeah. Okay, I remember when it was a dark day. One of the darkest days for me as an Americanista was when Toluca beat America 6-0. It was bad, and Cardoso had they had one of the best team goals I've ever seen in all of soccer. And then a couple of years later, America beats Toluca 7-2, and for me that was like a payback, and and that victory was so sweet.
Yeah.
Now if Mexico can pull off, let's say they advance and they face Chile, and let's say the game it doesn't have to be 7-0, but let's say a 5-0 or a 6-0. Do you root for Osorio all the way to Russia?
If he gets spanked 5-0 by Chile?
No. If he returns, the spank. If he returns it, if Mexico.
If he gives a reciprocal spanking.
Yes.
Well, I don't think that he would need my support, but yeah, if Mexico has ends up playing well and making the final, maybe lifting the trophy, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you?
It's hard to imagine that happening.
It's that haterade, huh?
No,
it's a fact.
It's just
Chile is that good. Let it flow through.
It's the history of facts that his performances against bigger or higher tier teams.
What are you talking about? He has. You guys. You have.
I'm not lying. It is the haterade for me.
No, what happened in Copa America last year was just a buildup of what had been happening in every game before that. Except he finally faced some good competition.
That is true, Rigo, because Joel and I we were saying
they were leaving gaping holes.
Yes, they were exposing themselves really bad, and any team
the high pressure really bothers Osorio's team because he was trying to play from the back and he just didn't have the talent in his back line to play from the back.
Osorio unfortunately has just a gigantic fatal flaw in his system because of the way that Mexico plays in general, and what it is that he tries to do. And what I mean by that is that, and you look at any game in Liga MX and it's played at a much different pace, and they give guys, guys make 15, 20, 30-yard dribbles all the time, without even being defended, without even being confronted. They give teams a lot of space. So it's just the way that Mexico plays.
You guys, hang on. You guys might.
So and then you'll see it even in the Portugal game. I mean, every time Portugal had the ball and they started possessing, I mean, they would, unless Mexico was high pressing them, would let them go all the way down to the 18. They just let them trot down there. And what the problem with Osorio's, what he's doing is that he has things so disjointed that it invites Mexico to abandon space more often than they would. And you're already giving up a ton of space. So you're giving up massive chunks, and that's what Chile exposed. New Zealand exposed that.
The other problem is he doesn't have a true, natural center defensive midfielder who is going to stop anything coming up the line. Diego Reyes doesn't have the movement. Rafa Marquez doesn't have the movement, the speed.
Yeah,
to stop coming up the middle. And Portugal was attacking up the middle.
Who was Mexico's most effective high presser?
High presser?
Yeah. Who caused more problems for Portugal than anybody else with his pressing?
Probably Raúl Jiménez.
No, it was Jonathan, and he would come straight up the middle.
Hey. He's a box-to-box center mid, but he is not.
But he
can play it. He can play the position. But what I'm saying is, you need somebody that's going to be there full-time, pivot, backing up your center midfielders. And Diego Reyes and Rafa Marquez are not that. Guardado can play it, but that's not his natural position.
But Herrera has been doing it actually. Really, both of them have been doing a great job.
But if you look, Herrera was more comfortable against New Zealand because he was playing in a more free flowing role versus playing back there. And I mean, you see it. New Zealand was attacking up the middle, and had it been a stronger team, they would have been up 3-0 at halftime.
Hey guys, but one of the things that I'm still trying to wrap my head around is that, like, and even La Volpe, when he had a team, he was dead set on playing from the back. He was dead set on it. And the thing about it is that his forwards, for the most part, they were when they would get the ball, they were running towards the goal. I'm not seeing that really with Osorio's team.
I mean, and there isn't anything wrong with playing from the back, but you have to look. You have to look at what the other team is giving you and make the adjustments. If they're pressuring you really, really high, and you know that you don't have the talent to have possession back there like that, then kick the ball up and play 50-50 balls from your back line, because you're just not doing it from the back. If you looked today, I mean, Germany was able to adjust against what Chile did, but when Chile came out early and they were pressuring them really, that first goal, the goal that Chile scores is off high pressure. And then they made their adjustments. I mean, but they're a really talented team. I just don't see Mexico having the talent that Germany does in their back line to be able to stop the high press from Chile if they were to meet. If Chile goes 90 minutes high press.
But they won't go 90 minutes high press. They'll be exhausted. Then Mexico win 7-0. Because I mean, no team can do that for 90 minutes.
It'll be 3-0 at halftime again.
Well, it was 2-0 at halftime the last one. They got 5 in the second half for those that were counting, and could have scored 3 more easily.
It would probably be a very different game because Mexico is going to go in there very aware of the 7-0, probably conservative and careful with everything that they do. They're not going to push their lines up fully, thinking they can go and score.
The thing about Chile is, yeah, they're a great offensive team. No one did, but you know what? I mean, it's not like they're not beatable. I mean, they do have their weaknesses too that Mexico, on a given day can exploit. So let's not lose sight of the fact Mexico has beaten Chile before many times.
No, we have the talent
even
to beat
this
them.
group.
I think
players.
I think this group of players can definitely beat that group of Chilean players. I just don't think we have the tactics behind the team
Well,
to
like I
coach
said,
them to win.
A sign of that you do have the good individual talent is that you win despite what the coach is doing, and that's what Mexico did yesterday. So maybe that's a sign that that the light's finally coming on for some of these players. Now it brings up another interesting point that we can discuss about this group of players themselves is that what has to happen for them to be considered the Mexico's quote unquote golden generation, because I don't think that they've really earned that right to be called that, because I don't think they've done anything. I mean, yeah, you can win a Gold Cup here and there.
They can come in first in CONCACAF qualifying, which they haven't done for a while.
Copa America final.
Mexico has actually never come in first in the Hex qualifying.
Hey
guys,
they need to start. They need to start reaching the finals of the Copa Americas, and they need to start at least, and they need to start reaching, Copa Americas and go deep into the tournament.
Hang on, Ron.
Better bring Hugo back.
We have Daniel Preciado joins us from California. Just wanted to get that in. Dan, how are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to make sure I joined in before the end of the show. I'm fresh off a 5K right now.
Oh, good for you.
In my dress shoes.
What was your time?
I wasn't timing. I was pushing a double stroller, so I wasn't exactly timing myself. I was just trying to get through it.
Yeah. Good
but
for
I
you.
got through it. Yeah, and then I made sure to sprint the last 1,000 feet to make sure I made it look like I ran the whole way.
Right.
So, but I just wanted to make sure because I wanted to get in, and I wanted to make sure that I'm not the only voice, or there was at least one voice to.
I think
not bash on the national team.
We've kept
what's been going on all day.
We've kept it civil.
We've been one-sided bashing him, man.
Yeah, you should have heard what Joel was saying about Chicharito earlier, man. It was, frankly, I was embarrassed. You're gonna have to listen to the tape, man. It was.
Well, I see the Chiva Hermano here, and I've been watching closely his Twitter feed. Trying to get to know our new panel member, I guess. And I know how much of a distaste he has for our coach, so I just wanted to make sure that it's not just one-sided.
We've been playing.
But I did say that in the Portugal game I was actually impressed at how he came out tactically. I enjoyed that he went out and pressed high. That the team retained possession versus Portugal. So it's not all bad. My only issue with the Portugal game was that I felt that we left a lot out there, and it was due to guys being out of position, like Cheech, like playing with no fullbacks or with one fullback.
But I'll be honest with you. I would perfectly sacrifice. Okay, so you have Jimenez, you have Chicharito, and you have Aquino. Out of the, and you can only pick two. Who are you taking? Who would you rather have on
Jimenez, Aquino, and Chicharito?
Yeah, you can only take two. Who would you rather put on?
I mean, you the guy who's going to give you the most threat at that position is going to be Aquino.
But see,
who would you rather have on the
field? Especially with
who would you rather have on the field? Would you have on Aquino on the field with he can give you a threat, but he also can, or would you rather have a guy on that is a guarantee that is he may not score but is going to get 2 or 3 legitimate chances to knock one in? Who would you rather?
Aquino's going to give you that too. Aquino's going to give you that too. I mean, I'm not saying. So the decision here is: do you play Chicharito or do you play Jimenez?
Well, the decision is you play all
at
three
the 9 spot
formation. That's the decision.
Yeah, I think what Rigo wants is a 4-4-2 so he could have Cheech and Raul up front, and that's just not going to happen.
I'm actually a big fan of the 3-5-2. That's my favorite formation. But I know that he plays a 4-3-3. But in a 4-3-3, when you have 2 wingers, you need to have fullbacks that are going to provide depth and take some of the defenders off of those wings. So when you have a winger that's doesn't have a lot of footwork, or ball control, then it doesn't matter if you do have a fullback.
Well, you
that's
either
going
have to
to
have a
push all the
fullback
way
that
up.
does that, or you have a midfielder that cuts inside and does the same thing.
Which he wasn't really having. I mean, because if you look
Right.
at Bella is on the right side, and he's basically by himself because Carlos Salcedo is not pushing up behind him, and Jonathan is a little bit more interior.
But the thing is that the reason that wasn't happening is because he was thinking, well, you know what? I'd rather have Salcedo on there for defense. Yeah, he might come up occasionally, but Vela is so good. He doesn't necessarily have to have that wing back.
And
but of course,
I think one thing that gets that's gotten overlooked over the last match is that Vela wasn't all that precise.
He had a bad game.
I mean, he had his moments, but the first half, he was. I mean, there's a certain reason he was subbed out. He wasn't exactly the sharpest he's ever been. And I guess, you know, when you remove Tecatito out of the mix, then I think he's got the decision. Is like, all right, do I play a natural winger in that position, or do I put out my best 11? So, like, do I put in Chucky? Do I put in? Do I put in?
You have
do I put in
11,
Raul
then you
and
decide.
Does Bella's performance hindered on the fact that he's not getting any help on that side?
No.
Behind
his touch wasn't there.
Yeah, he did not. He was his passing was bad, and his he did not have good ball control that game at all. And the goal that they scored against the first goal that they got was let's face it, was a little fluky because it was the genesis was a defensive mistake by Portugal. So I mean, yes, he did make a great pass, and yes, Chicharito did make a great play to head the ball into the net. There's no one denies that, but it was a little fluky that they got it. But they did respond in that first game to Portugal, scoring a few minutes later, and they did the exact same thing in the second half. And you know that gives me hope.
I guess I didn't think that this last game wasn't something that we needed to really dissect too much. It was like one of those where let's just forget about this. We got the 3 points, good. Let's not ever do this again. And all right, you know, like your little experiment kind of sort of worked. So let's just get our eyes focused on Russia, qualify, and then see what comes next. So I don't think finishing first or second is really much of an issue because either way, you're gonna face a tough opponent. There's no way around it. Germany, Germany or Chile
pick your poison. Tough. Yeah.
I mean, if you really want, and I think that basically is the same thing when it comes to the World Cups. It's like, yeah, you know, once you get into the knockout stages, yeah, you can be blessed and come up with a relatively manageable opponent. But either way, you got to get through whoever comes next at that point. And it's up to you. It's up to the team to get through it. And I think that's where the team is
and I think that we all believe that Mexico on any given day can win games like that, but we also know that that they can easily lose those.
So is it official where assuming we qualify, we're gonna go? They're gonna go up against Chile.
Well, if Chile finishes, so Portugal's going to play New Zealand, and I would assume we're going to think that Portugal will win that game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Portugal is going to win the group. And they're probably right now they both have a +1 on the goal differential. Their goal differential is going to be more than that. Let's say it's like +4. Say that generously. And then Mexico would have to golear Russia in order to get, which is just not going to. So I think there's if Mexico does qualify, there's like an 80% chance that it'll be as the number 2 team. So they'll play the number 1 right now is Chile. And they have the tougher task, I think, against Australia. So I think actually it's going to be Germany. I think Germany wins that group, and then Chile comes in second. So it's going to be Mexico, Germany in the semifinals, is what I think.
You guys think we can beat Germany?
Yeah, and Germany can beat Mexico. I mean, again, Mexico can beat teams, but they're also very beatable. I mean, you guys talk about like the leaky defense. Like this is like, you know, this I've never seen a Mexico team. Come on, guys, it's Mexico. They've had a leaky defense as long as I've watched. Sometimes it's leakier than other times, but or vice versa. But generally, it's been pretty leaky.
It's the golden generation of Mexico, if there is one right now, is mostly on the offensive side. The defensive the defense for Mexico is like the weakest spot, I would say, and hence the leaky defense exists, whether it's the varsity team or the JV team.
Do you really think it's a leaky defense?
Yeah, I think Moreno, Reyes, even Layun and se hacen bolas.
Yeah, Layun had a rough game.
Yeah, I mean that first Portugal goal, what was Hector Moreno doing when Diego Reyes is right in front of Cristiano Ronaldo? Why is he coming over?
He was ball watching. He, like everyone else, was thinking that
they all got fixated on Ronaldo, but I mean
the ball right back.
You know, see, if Ronaldo would have just showed him his average physique, you know, just hey guys, just then would have realized it was that he's just a man like the rest of them.
That happened versus Chile. That same type of ball watching and shifting over and just leaving the man behind you.
Well, my question is on that play. Okay, so it was the two defenders in the midfield. Where was the winger? Where was and it was Layun, right? Yeah. He was in. I mean, every replay they showed the goal and they showed the three Mexican defenders. You know who wasn't in any of the replays? Miguel Layun. Because who knows where he was?
So Beto's like when you're covering Ronaldo, do you want him behind you or in front of you?
You still want to show me your cucumber?
Savage, man.
You're talking about that, you know, it's like, oh, they're just going to watch him. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he, ultimately he ended up not beating Mexico, and that precious point they got against Portugal is what, and in my opinion, led to what we saw on yesterday against New Zealand, because as we all know, Mexico can't take any team. Just can't. They just can't do it.
Isn't it weird though how Mexico could never just like, you see like, and I think that really just goes to show how Mexico isn't like a real power in soccer, where you see some teams and like, you know, they're gonna half-ass it and they're gonna walk over a lesser opponent without an issue. They're gonna sleepwalk through a game and win 2-3-0 over a really lesser opponent. And Mexico just doesn't seem capable of ever doing that. Like, they always find a way to somehow lower their level to their competition.
Yeah,
that's been a constant theme for years. And that's where that was my main criticism, was that like you don't really think you're gonna roll over I mean, I know New Zealand is New Zealand, but when has this team ever rolled over like that? Like rolled over a team like that? It just doesn't happen.
Did you see that meme with the Piojo Herrera? You know, it's like, I'm trying to remember that team that beat that, you know, golear New Zealand players and without any Europeans. Did you guys see that meme?
Yeah, they basically used the America team, the base of it, and
which goes back to using players that are playing in a cohesive manner, not these goddamn rotaciones.
You keep saying rotaciones though, but there's not really rotaciones. If you remove this last game, the games that he deems the most important, he's throwing out the same guys. This last game, his starting 11, you can't really bitch much about. I mean, but that's who you want to see out there.
Against Portugal, it was the first time that Mexico's ever played with 11 players that play in Europe.
And he also, not only that, but it's basically the main guys that have been starting for the most important games.
But if that is the first game where we are playing with 11 guys that play in Europe on the pitch, that's the first game that they've all played together as a unit. Yes, the key pieces are the key pieces.
Full 11, yes. The full 11, yes.
Key pieces have been there. You know, your Herrera, Guardado, Chich, Vela, Moreno.
Layun,
Reyes.
Like, the bulk of the team is there. That's what I'm saying. Like, so I don't see that it's being like, I know like he really did overdo it at least a lot at first, but lately it doesn't seem like he's really obviously switching 8 players in one game. That's really him saying, I have zero respect for New Zealand. I'm going to throw out this shit lineup, super offensive, and we're just going to be able to just outclass them. And it failed. But outside of that, I think he's throwing out the team that I want to see, that I think is the best. And he's putting them in positions where they're pretty familiar with, pretty comfortable with. Bayern didn't play in the midfield. He didn't play contención or anything. He played his natural position.
I think that after the 7-0 fiasco last year, they kind of told him to pump the brakes on his rotations, because going into that 7-0 match, he had been rotating the whole Copa Oro and the matches leading into it. And I think it hasn't been as bad as when he first took over. I mean, this particular game against this particular game against New Zealand, I mean, 8 players is a lot, and it wasn't just 8. It wasn't just bringing in 8 new players. It was bringing in 8 players and then playing them out of position and playing with a different formation, and not having a center midfielders, not having midfielders. If you could have played,
game turned the second you put in Herrera. The second you put in a real midfielder, the whole game switched.
Yeah.
He totally royally messed up on that.
Dan, you asked the last time we rolled over opponents. 2007 Copa America.
That's a long time. That's
no, but you asked. I'm just answering.
Yeah, 9 years ago.
Was the last time what happened?
That Mexico rolled over an opponent.
No,
I mean they rolled over New Zealand to go to the World Cup.
No, they beat like 3 opponents. That's when they beat Paraguay 6-0. They beat Uruguay 3-1, and they beat Brazil 2-0.
They beat
third place game.
They beat Ecuador. They beat Brazil.
Yeah, no, that was a great.
They tied
Chile. Copa America.
That was with San Neri.
And,
God bless that boy.
And Macho Hugo.
I was with Hugo as coach, man. What could have been?
I know that I think I can speak in almost in full unanimity here. That when Neri scored that goal against Brazil and he had that game that he had, that I'm sure that we thought that holy crap, we finally, Mexico finally has that huge, for lack of a better word, just complete dick of a great player. A guy who's just a complete ass on the field. Yeah. Like it's like you know that the desmadre that he and Cuau got going down in when they were down in Venezuela for the Copa America, had to have been just epic, legendary. They probably still talk about it. And then it just totally fell apart. It just absolutely. And then of course what happened to Neri after that? But it's. I was going to play the sad music, but I don't think I should because out of respect to Neri for what happened to him.
But I don't want this to end on a sad note. 2011 Gold Cup. Mexico rolled over like pretty much the whole competition.
They scored 22 goals.
There you go. Yeah. 5-0 over El Salvador. 5-0 over Cuba.
4-1
Costa Rica. 4-1.
I was in Chicago.
Rica, yeah. You saw that one?
That was the just I'd never seen a Mexico team just completely
good memory, John.
Crush a team the way they crushed Costa Rica in the first 30 minutes or whatever it was.
I think that was the first time I met El Profe.
The Profe said he was going to come on, but we haven't heard of. Someone needs to contact the Profe and say what. And
then the final, John.
Yes.
The final was a 4-2.
4-2.
Which I was in Pasadena for. That was memorable. That was the Gio goal. And it gets highlighted all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Just and that's the thing that I wanted to talk to y'all about. I know we got a little sidetracked there because Dan wanted to.
Sorry.
Dan wanted to put up the force. He wanted to put up the force field, and I understand.
And you know what? I think this team they could beat opponents by big margin split. I think that the whole rotation thing has kept us from doing that.
Now, back to what I was hoping to talk about this group of players is that what do they have to do in order for them to go down in Mexico's soccer history as the quote unquote Generación Dorada? What else do they have to accomplish in order for that to happen? Do they have to?
They could win this Confederación Cup.
Yeah, quinto partido.
Quinto
It's
partido.
winnable.
I mean, don't they have to do something better than that to
Yes.
consider the
I
Yes.
don't think. I mean,
Yes.
a
Get to
confed
the
would be
fourth.
great, and go a deep run in the World Cup.
Get to the semifinal.
You know,
Yeah. To me, I think
this
at a minimum they have to
confederation,
make the semifinals.
this confederation is more winnable than the Copa America Centenario, and I think with Copa America, because we pretty much had home field advantage. You know, being played in the U.S.
I mean, I didn't
Yeah,
think
it was a
I didn't
huge
think
opportunity missed.
it got more winnable than Copa America last year. Like,
You know what's funny about what you just said, Joel, is that how many people were actually picking Mexico to win the Copa America Centenario? A lot of people were like,
Yeah.
and then it was. I mean, they were one of the favorites,
Yeah,
along
and you
with
know what?
Argentina and Chile.
Chile, I would have made Chile favorites, but not. You know, people forget that
we beat them
Mexico
in a game.
had tied Chile.
Well,
it was a friendly before, but like at the other Copa America that they hosted, we tied them 3-3 with like alternative squad.
Right, and they were
So
playing.
I think we could have just so it should have been a more closer game than that 7-0. And just I think if we had the home field advantage, which throughout the tourney I never felt like we actually had it.
What, home field advantage?
Yes.
Oh,
it's
and we should have won that game against Chile in Chile in the Copa America, the first Copa America they won.
That was
it was a very suspect penalty kick call.
Yeah,
we had two goals by Bozo and Jimenez. I mean, they were the home team, so.
Yeah, that was. There's going to be some home cooking on Saturday, so I think hopefully Mexico will be prepared for that.
But yeah, I also think this Confederaciones is pretty winnable as well. The talent is there. I mean, we have the talent.
I mean, that's the thing. Is it everything's there now? Just go out and do it.
And I think they win a Confederations, a deep run in the World Cup, and they're living up to their billing as the golden generation.
So that's so you want them, so you think that they have the ability to make it to at least the semifinals in
the World Cup?
Yeah.
Yes. I think we have the talent for it.
So that should be the barometer then. They need to make the semifinals in order for them to be quote unquote considered.
John, this is something
am I delusional for thinking that Mexico can make it to the
No.
semifinals?
You know what?
I agree with you 100%.
No, I don't think it's delusional. I mean, look, Costa Rica, who I think is a lesser team, were inches.
Literally inches.
From
inches.
Yeah, I mean they were like just like nothing, just
like
just
4
luck,
inches away. Yeah.
From reaching a semifinal. You're gonna say Mexico's not capable? Just Mexico's never been able to put up a complete game in a knockout stage.
I think we squandered our chances because 2010, the road Uruguay took, that was pretty much ours, and we dropped the ball. And Uruguay ended up getting the opponents.
Yeah, I was really angry
opponents.
at Aguirre. Well, just that whole world, but for that particular game, just the complete lack of drive to go get a result because you found out what happened in the other game. To me, it was just like, oh my god, it's like you can avoid playing Argentina if you go out and get this game.
In 06, we were seeded, and we had an easy group, and
then Portugal makes the deep run.
Yeah, but you know what?
Portugal couldn't beat which was what was their name, man? Is it a team? I think they had qualified for the first time.
Angola?
African team.
No, it was Iran.
Yeah, Angola.
I think it was Angola.
No, it was Angola.
Because Mexico tied them with a man advantage, wasn't it?
No, we started against Iran and we won like 3-1 or something.
Right, and then they the scoreless draw against Angola.
Angola, that's what hurt us. And Angola had their goalkeeper wasn't even, he played like amateur football. And I think they were a man down and we we just couldn't beat them, and that hurt us going into Portugal, where Felipao plays a lot of the bench, and we lose.
Because Omar Bravo hit the crossbar.
And
But either way, it wouldn't have mattered because Portugal had already had 6 points, so they were going to win the group. And the only way Mexico would have done that was, but you know what, Joel, the cruce there was either going to be Holland or Argentina, so there was no guarantee that whether they came in first or second, it would have mattered all that much. Now Portugal did advance past Holland.
But that Argentina had been on fire. They had destroyed who was it?
but it's still
6-0.
Holland. I mean, Holland is always going to be very decent.
Yeah, we managed to lose to them too. The next time around. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it didn't take as long to lose to the Dutch yeah. So semifinal, I think that's very doable. And again, they have to have a lot of luck and to get there as well. Like Joel says, sometimes the draw presents an easier path.
I don't think you have to be a top 4 team in the world to reach the semifinal in the World Cup. I mean,
Agreed.
Portugal isn't the best team in Europe, and they are currently the European champions. So it's
you get hot at the right time.
Exactly. That's all it really is. I mean, you have to have a basic base of really quality players, which I do think this team has, and then execute when it matters. So I mean, like this like I personally, after so many World Cups and so many competitions that we've seen, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Mexico is going to qualify out of the group. That's just something that Mexico's been typically good with, no matter who you throw out there. That they usually manage to qualify. So, but
Rigo, can I ask you a question?
Knockout stage.
Sure.
Do you know what it's like for Mexico not to qualify out of the group stage?
No, my first World Cup was '94 that I watched.
All right.
So, I mean, I remember that was a group of death. I think when else did we have a group of death? 2010 was a group of death.
2002. 2000.
Yeah, 02 was a group of death. I mean, we've always made it out. So that's
you young whippersnapper. I've never seen it happen. No,
have you guys ever seen it happen?
Yes.
78. I don't remember. I mean, 86 they got to get the partido.
78 and then 82 they didn't play in the World Cup. So that was
90 they didn't play.
90 they didn't play. It was 74 they didn't play.
Our brother Joel pointed out, the other day, there's very few teams, Mexico's amongst some pretty prestigious company.
It's just two. It's Brazil and Germany. They're the only other ones that have done it.
And what else sound like? I think that would be even more impressive if you could actually mix in a semifinal or a quarterfinal mixed in there, and then you can say, "Wow, this team has been extremely consistently good." But right now they've just been consistent, and it's pretty close to mediocre. Since top 16 in the world, and I think that's the level that they've shown to be.
And why is that, Ronnie? Is Ronnie still with us? Okay, that's right.
Because we don't demand. We don't demand enough from our team. I feel that's the thing. We don't demand enough.
No, the reason is because we need to start placing higher in the seeds. We need to start taking more.
You're forgetting the other thing, right?
We need to start playing real friendlies against good competition.
No, not this.
Actually, it's
actually away from the pod.
It's actually less friendlies, because if you think about it, like Germany, last 5 World Cups, I think they reached the semifinals.
Well, there's going to be more friendlies, boys, because CONCACAF is going to have like the
league,
the friendly cup. What's it called? The League Cup or whatever it is.
Yeah,
where all the friendlies are going to be around here. So there'll be a lot more Mexico versus Curacao than there's going to be Mexico versus Croatia.
And that's the other thing. Us, like Mexican fans, it doesn't matter who Mexico is playing. It doesn't matter who is wearing those green shirts. They fill up those stadiums. And so the federation does not care about, if we make it to fucking quarterfinals or semifinals. At the end of the day, they're still making their money because Mexican fans are
well. See, but
as long as Mexico makes it to the World Cup, they're fine.
And everything you're saying is right. Joel, go ahead.
Yeah, been waiting.
Yeah.
No, the reason we see the federation mess up all the time, it's because it's not independently run. It's run by the presidents of the club presidents of Liga MX. So they all have their personal interest in mind. They all want to have their players. They all want to have the coach. There's all these reasons. That's why you'll have someone campaign to get rid of Hugo to bring in Sven, and then and you'll have stuff like.
And who was it that did that?
We had Rey Midas.
Who campaigned for that?
It was Vergara, and you have like Rey Midas, and one of our best coach, and they give him 2 games.
Burnt the bridge.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's part of it because all of these, like when we heard the Bielsa name, and that was Grupo Pachuca that was campaigning for him, and even
and I feel bad for Vucetich because if they would have done the right thing, which is to get the fireman first, get the bombero first, and then let him do a ciclo, and then it's okay. You woke up. Thanks very much. Now you're bringing Vuce, and you let him do it from the start. But he just wasn't that person, and then for them to do that to him was just you can't tell me that Vucetich couldn't get a result in New Zealand.
But you know what, John? Now that Mexico has 4 televisoras that are open air,
mm-hmm.
and the Federación, the rights for the national team are going to be up for grabs.
That's right.
So I do feel that we're going to see some changes. We might, I'm expecting some changes within the Mexican Football Federation. Might change the way the team. So I mean, unless these guys find a way to maintain their hold.
They must be on to you, Joel, because they started jamming your service as you were talking there, so that
Well, you missed what I said.
Yeah, we missed what you said. So you need to repeat yourself.
From what part?
Okay, so yeah, the 4 televisoras that could be there was.
Yeah, that might change the way that might change the way the FMF is run. Just because you don't have one televisor is not gonna have power to put in to vote in, like, okay, this guy's gonna be the president, or this guy's gonna, and we saw some of these changes going back, because before it was just Televisa, and when TV Azteca entered the picture, they took the rights. They even took the rights for a while.
Well, they both have the rights right now. They both air the games.
Yeah, but that was around the time that TV Azteca was the people that were running the show, which was, I forget their names. I know one was one was Maurer, and the other guy was the president of Atlas. I forget his name, but those were the guys that brought in Menotti, and then I don't know how Televisa did it, but they regained the power, and then they exiled Maurer. But you saw these changes that happened, and I think they're gonna happen again with four open air.
Do you think that they'll finally make the FMF and they'll separate the FMF? They'll put a firewall to the FMF in the league.
It could, but at the same time, you have right now Televisa and TV Azteca have been like partnering up.
Technically, it's already a different entity, John.
Well, so technically, you're right, but
it's already a different entity. But the thing is, it's that they're double dipping, like the leadership group. They're basically pulling double duty in both organizations.
Yeah.
When
I double dip on my hotel miles and airline miles. Is that okay, Ron?
I guess.
Okay,
but
right.
Going back to what Hoyle was saying is that after this, I don't think that the game's going to change completely. I think what's going to happen is that I think you're still going to see the same problems. It's just that there's going to be more people bidding for it. Here's
what's going to be the determining factor for this whole thing. Is Televisa going to make more money airing it, or are they going to make more money not airing? In other words, like, are they going to receive the rights fees by not airing it? So if they think that they can do better by not airing it, then they'll go ahead and and let the other ones come in.
Personally, I have a feeling that it's going to be. I think that American company is going to own it, be it NBC or be it Univision.
Gonna own Televisa?
No. The rights to the national team.
Oh, so you think that like Univision's gonna pick them up for everything?
Dude, they lost the World Cup to NBC. They need something.
Yeah. Well, that's
so you could have Fox Sports in there. You could have ESPN. ESPN obviously is hurting right now, so I don't think that unless they come up with some serious buku money, man. Because the fact that you have Televisa and granted they've been in cahoots for a while.
Well, see, that's my point. The reality is that these quote unquote rights fees, they're going to one place. So that's the thing, is that where is it? What is going to make more sense for them to air it or not to air it? How are they going to? It might make better sense for them to just, hey, yeah, well, here's the rights number. This is what we're comfortable with. Go for it.
It'd be interesting. I don't know. I think the one that's really talking more about this publicly is actually Jesus Martinez from Pachuca.
Well, what a shock.
And obviously he's got a vested interest in this because of his ties with Carlos Slim. And obviously Carlos Slim, they're in direct competition with Televisa and TV Azteca because of the mobile viewing of
right.
it. So I don't know.
He also has a channel. He has his channel Claro.
So I honestly think that it's going to be an American company, be it Fox Sports or be it NBC, Telemundo, that are going to get it. And basically, I think that you're going to see them barking the orders and telling the not the FMF per se, but the Comisión de Selecciones Nacionales. I think they're going to have an American boss. I think the time has come, and I personally I don't.
The time has come.
Well, it's not that I want it to happen. It's just I think it's just inevitable. No, it's not X-Files, dude. I can tell you, I've been pretty much on when it comes to the TV wars. I've been pretty spot on with these things.
Hey, shout out to the chat.
What's that?
Shout out to everyone on the chat.
Oh, okay.
Sergio, Metalero.
El tío.
Is
he back from Israel?
I guess.
Oh.
Sergio's calling out Dano on some things, but.
Really?
What's he saying? That you suck?
Damn.
Shut your stupid face, Sergio. I'm sorry.
Hey, we can't be insulting our
it was early
fans.
I'm
like
sorry.
That.
I don't take kindly to.
It was early.
A little sensitive to the criticism.
We'll let Lugo apologize.
Estoy avergonzado.
Let Lugo apologize for you.
Metalero said he wants some water. Some water.
There's no free water. Although I did have free water at the 5K, so I don't know if Metalero made it out there today. I know he's a San Diego native also.
What 5K was this?
It was a corporate dash at Qualcomm Stadium. So many companies were there tonight.
So you go to Qualcomm for the corporate, and then don't you also go for like the Fast and the Furious racing too over there at Qualcomm?
I'm there every day. Like they have so much stuff going on. I was there for a concert, and hopefully I'll be there on July 9th.
Yeah. So what are they gonna do with Qualcomm? I guess San Diego State plays there, right? So.
They do, and I don't know what the whole stadium debacle is going through. It doesn't look good right now. I don't think.
Again, why weren't you up there with like Johnny Rico and them? Fighting for the soccer thing.
MLS and SD hashtag.
I think that's my issue is the MLS. I'm not passionate enough.
Did you see Johnny Rico's his plea to city council?
I missed it, unfortunately. I only caught that one old guy talking about Mercedes dealerships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the only part
You could have gone down and worn your Santos Laguna T-shirt.
I'm too emotional though. I think I might have not. I think I might have hurt the cause.
Dan, I got to tell you, I think it's really funny that not only do you have Not only do you have a Santos jersey, but you have a Santos jersey for every version of you. Which
that's right.
Which
I
I
have a
think
medium, a
that's what
large, and an extra large. That's right.
There you go. I think that to me shows your true passion.
I got 40 pounds of leeway.
No. Hey,
That
what number do you get, Dan, when you buy your Santos jerseys? Dan?
What was that, Ronnie?
Ruiz, I hope.
What number do you get?
No,
Do you have?
number 58.
Oh no, I don't get them personalized, but I would get Bonnie Ruiz. That's always been my favorite player. So yeah, that would be a.
I was gonna diss on your boy Nestor with his assist to the New Zealand team.
He had a rough game. I mean, I think he was involved.
He was rusty. It was the first action that was like 2-3 weeks for him. It showed.
No excuses. He had a terrible game.
No, I know, but I'm not denying it.
Yeah. I mean, he dodged a bullet in avoiding the first goal, and then he made up for it to make sure that they got to screw up again to make sure that they got that goal in. So yeah, he was fundamental in screwing up. I mean, but you can't blame a guy for one game. I mean, for as much as Diego Reyes gets grief, he actually had a pretty decent game.
I was surprised at Nestor Araujo's performance because he's actually been pretty solid under.
And he's only 25. So he's like, at this point, he's Mexico's. As far as having a guy that's going to be there for a while. Outside of he and the Monterrey kid, who hopefully will be starting the Gold Cup. El Cachorro Montes. Hopefully we want to see them. That's what I was hoping would happen with Salcedo. To me, Salcedo's more of a central anyway, and for him to have that unfortunate injury, it's going to knock him out for 3 months. It was, I think that's going to be a very, and then we don't know about Moreno. So does that mean that Diego Reyes and Araujo are the de facto defenders then from here on out? I mean, it would have to be. Right?
It might be Reyes and Alanis. He's been going.
Dude, Alanis has for lack of a better term, crapped himself.
I don't think he's that good.
I mean, 2 games he's played.
As a Chivas fan, I don't think he's that good. I think if I was going to take a Chivas defender, I would have taken Jay Pereira, who was more solid. So when you guys are saying that he's crap in the bed, I think he is too. I mean, he's also not a left back.
So it would have to be Reyes and Araujo, and then which means that the wing backs have to play, which means it's going to be the Atlas kid and Layun both. So Layun is going to have to play on the right.
I'd love to see that Atlas kid play.
Hey John,
he'd be great.
The Chivas center back that you used to like a lot, that was a part of the Olympic squad. What was his name?
Who? Chaton.
Is he still even playing?
He was a defensive mid, and he still plays. I forgot where he plays now.
Yeah, he was Santos actually. I don't know if he was swapped up in the draft. I don't think so. I think Chepo is doing the Jim Plunkett on him. I think that he had to get all the bad juju out. He's given a couple of years, and then he's going to let him come back. Do y'all understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I know you do, Ron, because deep down, Ron, I know you're a football guy. I know where you're from, Ron.
I still like football. Don't get me wrong, but I prefer the football back from the 80s and 90s.
Well, we all do, but
anyhow, no. I was just looking at the players. Like, I was trying to find a couple of days just surfing. Aldo de Nigris retired.
God bless you.
Yeah, man. I was kind of I was not upset, but I was like, man, that guy should have played at least in the World Cup.
He had the worst luck because. So if y'all remember Aldo de Nigris in 2009, his Tano passed away like suddenly.
Yeah.
Like in October, November, and then the Liguilla starts. I was like days later, and Aldo just goes on this just bananas tear, and scores. Well, it was like 6 or 7 goals in that Liguilla, and I thought, man, this kid, he and Chicharito both were just massively, just sizzling hot, and then he got injured, and so he couldn't. There was no way he would have not made the World Cup. And so he had a bad ankle, so he didn't even get considered. Didn't even get the 30-man guy. It was rough. And the same thing happened in 2014.
Yeah.
I was listening to the morning to Raza Deportiva, and one of the reporters was like, "Yeah, Aldo just retired," and that to Rafa Ramos says, "I thought he retired when he went to Chivas." Just
wow.
Oh man, but when he went, he was injured and he never really got to play. And I was surprised Monterrey took him back.
He's one of the unsung heroes of the of the disastrous 2009 Hex, because he scored the goal that got Chepo his only win against Jamaica in Jamaica.
The weight game.
That was That was Aldo.
And then he get injured.
Yeah, then he got injured, so he couldn't play.
He got injured. He could.
So Jaguares also retired, right?
Yeah, Jaguares is gone. They couldn't meet the payroll criteria. For some reason, the league wants the teams to actually be able to pay their players, and if you don't meet that standard, then you're going to be disaffiliated.
It sucks for all the players they had and youth players and they managed to find some of them.
This is not a good thing. Hopefully those guys will get some opportunities, because they do have some. And we also have to feel bad for the fans in Tuxtla, because they, every time Chiapas played, that stadium was usually 3/4 full.
I was looking at pictures.
They were a good crowd
outside of the stadium.
That is why you still have the Big Four in Mexico, because fans, they know that Chivas, America, Cruz Azul, they're still going to be around because they have, with other teams, when they get relegated, they never come back, or they can't play their players and stuff like that. So I was a little upset, about Jaguares and their situation that they were in.
Yeah, because at one point the team that played in Chiapas, whatever version of Jaguares, they were owned by TV Azteca at one point.
Yeah.
And then that was the team that, I guess they sold them, and they just stuck with their one team, the Morelia, and then that Jaguares team ended up moving to San Luis, who was then relegated because the team from. Go ahead.
You know what? I think we're seeing the last of those small teams, especially with the TV contracts opening up.
You see, I don't think so. I think that what we're seeing is, I think that we're gonna end up seeing the return of some of the more traditional teams that'll eventually, make it back, and then at that point they'll go, you know what? Okay, we're gonna close it. It's gonna be, no more promotion relegation.
John, I see some companies coming in, like FEMSA has Monterrey.
It's just a matter of time before you start having American ownership in Liga MX, and I think that what's going to happen is that some of the traditional markets, Tampico's going to get it. They're going to get their act together. They're going to get some sort of ownership group. And
then the league is better when La Jaiba Brava is in the league.
Exactly.
But look,
you'll have Tampico. You're gonna have Zacatepec. You're gonna have Celaya. You're gonna have
Atlante.
Atlante. You're gonna get Atlante, but they should go back to
Dude, I am telling you that Cancun is it should be.
Yeah.
A very big piece of what the Mexican soccer decision makers want to do. If it's not, then they're not very smart. But it should be an essential piece.
Do you guys remember how much León was sold for? They were second division.
They were sold for like a bag of peanuts, wasn't it?
Yeah, $4 million.
A bag of peanuts. Yeah.
Davino's father. They were trying to get a group of ex-León players and stuff like that, because they were trying to get the club. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the asking price at that time, and I'm going back less than 10 years, was $7 million, $6 million, something around there. It wasn't obscene now, but now with Carlos Slim, in the mix. dude.
That's the point I'm getting at, Ron.
Yeah, it's
Ron. I think you're blowing Joel's wad. So
Yeah.
Joel blows
You
the
are.
wad.
He's right there, man, cupping. No, that
Joel,
was I was
Joel,
trying to make the comparison
think
because
of baseball players, Joel.
because no, because Leon got
think of Takuya. Think of
cheap,
Takuya.
and but like Santos, which they were owned by Grupo Modelo. Grupo Modelo got bought out by InBev, and InBev they sold the team, and it was bought by Grupo Orlegui, and they paid 155 million. So granted, Leon was in second division, but they're like a big, very marketable team. So I mean, a Jaguares type team, for another team to come up there, I do see the franchises. They're gonna start costing way more money.
Well, not only that, but I think that you're going to start seeing the franchises that have made significant investments in new stadiums, et cetera. They're going to go, hey guys, they just passed that rule that they have to have a minimum of whatever it was, either 20 or 25,000 to be in Liga MX, which I think is just not to check about Zacatepec, but I mean, I agree with Ron. Zacatepec is, that is like, for whatever reason, that is like a very romantic team to have playing in the league. Why is that, Ron? Why is Zacatepec why do people carry such a torch for them?
Some of Mexico's best players, played there. Played there. They also won league titles back in the 50s. If I'm not mistaken, Horacio Casarín. If I'm not mistaken, I think Pepe Carvajal also played. I have to remember, but a lot of Mexico's historic players played in that team or passed through that team.
Wow. Okay.
And obviously it's in a nice zone, nice area of Mexico.
Right. Yeah. It's in the state of the Estado de Mexico, isn't it?
Zacatepec.
Yeah. Or is it
Morelos? Morelos, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Morelos.
It's a very nice part of the country. There's no.
So yeah.
The climate is really nice down there.
So no, I expect Celaya in the future. I expect Celaya. I expect Zacatepec. I expect Tampico to get serious ownership and even foreign investment. I think that's it's going to happen. As long for me personally, as long as if it's not and not Middle Eastern money or Asian, Chinese money and stuff like that. I don't want these guys treating it like a social event. I want serious ownership groups.
You see, even Sergio agrees that that Cancun has to fit into this.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And honestly, I think that the Mexican League needs to start tapping into the baseball regions. Liga del Pacifico and stuff like that. Because those fans they're loyal. And I think they need to start hitting those markets a little better too.
Yeah, it's. They have Dorados out there, but that hasn't really. They unfortunately lost to Lobos Buap, who appear to be at least making the commitment, so to speak, that they're going to try and stick around with some of the folks that they've got. Hopefully, it'll work out for them.
I'd also like to see the revival of the Spanish teams,
like Club España and
Asturias. I actually would like to see them back.
What about like a real historic team like the Albinegros de Orizaba or something like that? You think that would?
What's that?
Like a real
like Ado.
Yeah.
They're basically Orizaba. Yeah. They have them.
Oro. And Marte.
Martin, Oro. They were in Jalisco.
Right.
If I remember, I think the reason it's Oro is because the owner owned a lot of jewelry here. So he had that, gold money.
Ronnie, you're all muffled, man. Can
you hear me?
I can hear you. We hear you better there.
All right,
but otherwise, it sounds like you're doing something really perverted. It just
no.
It just sounds weird.
He always sounds like he's out of breath. He's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, he gets so worked up. It's so worked up. Well, in addition to that, Ron, I've always thought that Mexico's, the Liga MX future, is directly tied to MLS too. I think that they have to, for their own sake. That there's talk of having a tournament, and don't make it like the Superliga. Make it a season-long, straight up one-off, and just just do a full draw and just play it out. It would be great. And I think it would generate a lot of interest.
This chat's hilarious.
What's going on in the chat? Oh, well, okay. I guess we all can see what's going on in the chat. All right, then.
Ron, you need to check out what's up in the chat. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, all right, gentlemen, before we wrap it up here, we need to get y'all's predictions. And I think that when we last had a round of predictions, I think all of y'all, except for Dan, said that Portugal would win. And Dan said that Portugal was Mexico was gonna win, and I said they were gonna draw. And so we'll do the picks again for the big Russia game. And I'll start. I'll go down the list. Let's see who we have available to us first. Looks like it's gonna be Chiquis.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, right off the bat, Chiquis, put you on the spot first. Does Mexico advance to the semifinals? Straight up.
Oh yes, they will.
Do they win? Do they win the game outright
against Russia?
Yeah.
No, I wanna say a tie.
So you say a draw. Okay. Let's put Chiquis down for a draw. Moving on the list, Dan, if you could unmute yourself, we'll get your opinion here.
I'm ever the optimist. And the genius of Juan Carlos Osorio resting his players for this also crucial match, I think it's going to pay dividends.
Fernando would be proud of you. I think that just in his honor.
Release the Kraken!
For such high praise of Juan Carlos Osorio.
Well,
all right, so you say win.
It's a little tongue in cheek, but yeah, I think they win because I think ultimately Russia's going to have a lot of pressure and like Ronnie says, the whole cat and mouse thing, I think this game really plays for that kind of scenario because Russia's obligated to chase the game.
And the one thing we have seen that Mexico seems to do well, at least with certain players, is counterattack really well. I mean, they certainly, with all three of the guys they have up front, if they do play, which I think they will, Chicharito, Jimenez and Vera will probably all play up front again. Counterattack, it would be has been and should be a continued fun with these three guys. So hopefully we'll see some of that.
I don't think Raul's going to start though. Seeing as he played those two games, I seriously doubt he's going to start. But that could be in some ways good though, because that means that Chicharito is going to be up front.
Actually, Chicharito is going to start, but they're going to put him at wing back. No, okay. So,
defensive mid, yeah.
So Dan, is it a comfortable win, Dan, or are you wishing you were smoking by the end of it?
Well, I'll probably be smoking at the end of it. I think it's going to be a bit of a nail biter, but I do think we're going to win 3-1. I think we're going to get a late goal to
ice it. Yeah, and it's going to be from your boy Nestor on a corner kick.
I like it, man.
Yeah,
I like it.
See,
yeah.
See now, Dan, I'm as a fellow Sunshine Pumper, I'm proud of you. Proud of you for your bowl prediction. All right, moving on. Over to Joel. Joel, what you got?
Same. I'm on the draw boat.
You're on the draw boat. Okay, so Mexico advances with the draw. Are you sweating it, Joel, or is it going to be? Are you nerve wracked or?
No. Russia looked like they couldn't score if you would have given them 20 more minutes, and in that game against Portugal, and replaced the defender with an orange traffic cone. They just look like the team that was going to keep missing.
Okay. So moving on to the semifinals for who? Moving on to Rigo.
I also think a draw, and I just think it's going to be a nail biter with Russia just going all out attack the last 10 minutes. But we pull it off. We pull off the draw. I just think it's going to be the first time that a stadium is going to be jam packed with Russians, and there's going to be a little bit of influence on the ref.
Maybe more influence than we'll want to care to know about.
Yes. I'm sure the Russians will be chanting their president's name every time Ochoa kicks off. But yeah, I think we pull off the draw.
That's pretty great though. He did that, right?
That would be awesome.
That would be pretty great.
Yeah, I think we pull off the draw. I think.
All right.
There's going to be a lot of pressure on.
So far, we have 3 draws and a win. All right, moving down the list, we have up in Philadelphia, where I believe the guacamole is now 100% mayonnaise free. The factory floor has been scrubbed. Ron, what's going to happen?
I think it's going to be a draw.
Okay. Are you? Is it a nail biter, or is it one of those where se sufre hasta el final? Or
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be the type of game where Russia's going to score first and Mexico's going to have to come back. But I don't think.
Well, they've had practice at that because the last 3 games they've given up the first goal.
Yeah. And I just hope that, I mean, obviously, Russia has to open up. Russia has to go for the win. And
they have to open up the nesting doll.
Yeah. And I just hope that Osorio has. But I just hope he plays the players in the right positions and that they capitalize on Russia having to open up, more passing lanes and having to risk a little bit more. Mexico doesn't have to risk as much. I think that's really one of the things that, Osorio hasn't really been the best at. Hoping for the best for them on Saturday.
So you would be okay if Mexico came out and played conservatively?
That's I mean, not even conservative, just practical. I'm fine with practical. I'm fine with practical. I'm fine with playing, what the game in front of you calls for. There's no shame in it. I think that, I've watched Mexico long enough that, I don't care about Mexico having possession, like, every single game, every single moment. It's like that's not the point anymore. And like, I think, maybe, getting, as I've gotten older, like I start to appreciate more practicality than anything. And I just hope they have, they go out there and play, to their abilities and play a smart game.
Oh, such nice words from Ron De Luna. Thank you, Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that will work out. I have to admit, this game probably makes me more nervous than the first 2, just because of the fact that it's the Russians at home. But I've seen some of Russia play. I haven't seen a full complete game, but like Joel says, I don't think that they're particularly strong. I think that this is a situation that Mexico and frankly Osorio, I think, has handled pretty well in the qualifying of both in the first round and then so far in the hex. So Russia to me is at best like maybe a mid-level European team. I don't think that they're really that. They're obviously a concern because their Mexico still has some issues, but Mexico should be able to win this game. And I kind of feel like Dan. I think that they could be maybe a situation kind of that plays out kind of like the game did in against Croatia in 2014, where it might be tight, but there's moments for both, and then Mexico breaks through, and then when they break through, they just they might pour through and just end it. So I do think that Mexico will advance, and I do think that regardless of what happens, whether they advance either with the win or with the draw, then they're going to end up in second place either way, and that's going to place them, at least I think, against Germany, which will be next week. I can't remember if it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday, but it'll be on one of those days. Next, I would have to be. Maybe they're both on Wednesday. I don't know. We'll have to take a look. So that's where we said. So it sounds like that all of y'all believe that Osorio will then remain the coach after this tournament, because with the results that you guys have given, that would mean that Mexico would at least complete the objective of making the semifinals. Thus,
does that call for a sad flute?
Does it call for a what?
A sad flute, because I'm sure that's much to the dismay of most
that
of
is that is absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right, Dan. I should have picked up on that. See, I was gonna play the sad flute when we're talking about Nettie, but I thought that out of respect to Nettie, that I just think that's just too inappropriate for him. So I think Nettie is off topic for the sad flute, unless Fernando is concerned. Then I think it would be okay. But
a Fishing with Red theme song, if you've ever seen that TV show.
No, I haven't.
It's probably a southern thing, Fishing with Red.
See, even Salvador says Nettie who on the old chat there. So let's see. Before we go, maybe we can have some of the folks on the chat let us know what's going to happen. Is it going to be win, lose, or draw for Mexico? Hopefully, we'll get some folks to say that before we wrap it up. But yeah, so it sounds like all y'all are expecting Osorio to remain as coach, and well, I guess we'll discuss how that decision plays out on our next show, which will be next week, and we might have to discuss maybe doing if for some reason if Mexico does make the semifinals, maybe do a post or do a show that day. I can't remember if it's gonna be Wednesday or Thursday, but we'll have to figure that out. Regardless,
the Saturday's Russia, right?
Saturday's Russia. Saturday's Russia. All right, so here we go. So Salvador said Mexico wins. Sergio not only says Mexico, he says that Mexico takes the entire tournament. So I think Sergio's trying to kiss and make up Dan for his rude comment earlier. That was
well, at the end of the day, Sergio knows that I got nothing but love for him. He's my boy.
I think that's a conversation you're going to want to have with Sergio offline there, Dan. Just
oh, we often do. I just so every once in a while, you just like to let people know it's okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, boy. Well, boy, I think we had another entertaining show here. It was a pleasure to spend my Thursday evening with y'all. I hope that you folks on the chat enjoyed the show. I know that we enjoyed producing it for y'all. Chiquis, thanks again for all your help and getting all this set up. Chiquis, did we have callers? Did I hear the buzz of the caller, or was I imagining?
Yeah, that was Sergio. Then he had to pick up the pizza. They knocked at his door, so he hung up.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was like for 10 seconds.
Is that Sergio right there?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
He called in and then he hung up real quick.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to talk with Sergio the next time. And thanks for
La pizza, dude. You can't say. It's kind of hard to say no to.
La pizza came. He had to hang up.
Do they have Pizza Patron out in California?
I've never heard of it. No. We have Pizza Loca, and we have Pizza Bueno down the road.
Hey, Ronnie, were you in Houston when they had Pizza Patron?
I don't recall that company.
No, it was a Texas. You could actually pay in pesos. They took pesos as well as dollars over at Pizza Patron when they first opened. I always thought that was interesting. Anyway, moving on.
Is Gaddy still around in Texas?
Oh,
Gaddy?
Absolutely.
Okay, because that's I remember it was Papa John's And if I'm not mistaken, when I was in college, that's when Papa John's, I think, like that's when they really started to make it big. And I remember Gaddy's because that was near the university. Other than that, I don't remember really any other pizzerias.
Mr. Gaddy's.
I think that they have the best sauce.
Is fantastic.
Yeah.
You Texans probably think Whataburger's good also, man. This Mr. Gaddy's.
Whataburger's okay.
Mr. Gaddy's is nasty. Whataburger's nasty.
Mr. Gaddy's has it actually tastes of something. You can actually, I mean, you could immediately know it's a Mr. Gaddy's pizza just from
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And when it's fresh out of the oven, man, it is. You know, Ron, I was going to bring up Bluebell ice cream, but I thought that was too mean tonight. I didn't want to get on your bad side.
God, I miss Bluebell.
I'll bet you do.
And you know, honestly, you know what I really do miss? I miss kolaches.
I just had a kolache. Yeah. Yeah, Houston had a lot of kolache places.
They did, and like here, there's also obviously Pennsylvania has the German communities and
hey, but Dutch. you guys have the Wawa, where you could go to a Wawa at any time of day or night and tell the guy who's running the register, hey, make me a sandwich. And
they're not, I'm not knocking on a Wawa. I think they're pretty good, but it's not. I'll still take Houston cuisine any day. You know, there's not really a lot of late night options here in Philly. It's not like Houston. It's not like Dallas, dude.
Right.
You can get
anything
and everything, 24/7.
That's what I miss from New York. Is that here in Orlando, everything by like 10 o'clock is closed, and in New York, you can go to a deli at 1, 2 in the morning and get a hero, or chopped cheese, or you can go anywhere and get food.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's the same thing. Like in Houston, you can get taquerias, you can get pho, you can get anything you want. And
Chiquis and I, Ron, are actually going to Houston next week. Which Chiquis we need to talk about our little road trip.
Oh yeah, Wednesday night.
Yeah,
in the Rice Village. Was it off Kirby? No, I have to remember.
I know where Rice Village is.
There was this place that had the best Thai food. Jesus Christ, man, that was really good.
Do you talk Thai, Ronnie? I don't know you talk Thai.
Oh, you talk Thai? Oh, I talk Thai.
Nice reference to the movie.
No, but yeah, he was crazy good, dude.
Yeah. If there's one thing Houston is, if people don't know, it has. Just in Texas alone, it has the by far the best cuisine.
Yeah,
I mean it is.
And part of that, and a grand part of that, why Houston does have that, is because.
Did you watch Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown?
No, I didn't.
No.
I actually started to watch it on Netflix a couple of nights ago. I watched the two of them, one in London, was it London? And I watched another one where they were in Hanoi, and they had the one with Barack Obama where they ate at the Boon Chai place. Houston has really good Vietnamese restaurants.
They do.
Obviously, they have a large Vietnamese community over there.
Well, the whole Texas coast has a pretty large. I mean, just up like all because yeah. No, yeah. But Houston's restaurant scene is really, really, really good. So, but of course, Chiquis and I we're gonna go hit what's the name of it? Your Chingao, your bar on Hillcroft. ¿Cómo se llama?
Rita's.
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 We're gonna have to go hit Rita's.
Hey, is there a place that's called Larry's Barbecue?
I have no idea. I just
funny story about Larry's Barbecue. One of my fraternity brothers and I, we always used to hit that place up. I don't remember the day. I'm going back.
You're muffled, man.
Yeah, you're all muffled again, Ronnie. You're getting all.
I'm going back maybe 15 years. 15, 20 years back. I don't remember, but they had. I don't remember the day, but they had all you can drink and all you can eat barbecue and beer. And it was off of 290, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember that, we kept telling, our fraternity brothers, I said, hey, let's go to Larry's. Let's go to Larry's. Like, nobody had wanted to go to Larry's because it was, it was a bit of a hike. up on up on 290. But like when we kept telling them, dude, it's free beer, and or all you can eat beer and all you can eat, barbecue for like it was like super cheap, dude. It was like $10.
I hope that the bathroom, like the commodes, are like extra strong for all the puke that's going to be generated from free food and free beer night.
No,
continue, please.
No, sorry.
So is that your recommendation? Then should we go to Larry's Barbecue and hope that we hit it on?
I don't know. I mean, keep in mind, dude. You're not gonna go to the same places you are when you're a college kid as a.
Well, yeah. I used to, when I was in college, I used to go to a place, a country and western bar in Sherman called Calhoun's on Tuesday night. It was coin night.
Yeah.
And it didn't even have to be American. It was just coin. Whatever coin you had, you paid like an $8 cover, and for the rest of the night, all you had to do was give the bartender a coin for a drink.
So I mean, obviously, I'm gonna give. I haven't been back to Houston. Actually last year, I think, but I was there just briefly.
Yeah.
No,
so is there a landmark in Houston that you had like just a terribly embarrassing moment, like just something just really humiliating happened to you that would just unpack just a terrible series of memories?
Actually, it wasn't embarrassing. It's actually really funny. After a fraternity party over there by the University of Houston, I think the fast food joint was off Cullen or Calhoun. I don't remember which one. Party ends around 3:00. I go with my brother to the restaurant, and we're going through the drive-through. And the drive-thru's taking their sweet time, and we order, and then basically they're like it's literally taking forever. So it's like my brother and I were just like shit. So we would turn off the car. Next thing you know, we wake up about 4 or 5 hours later, and people are driving basically around us to getting their foods because we basically crashed. We basically fell asleep right there in the drive-thru.
You were waiting so long.
We were also so fucking tired, man. Shit.
But, was there any other kind of chemical imbalance involved in this particular story?
There was.
Okay.
I remember that because I think it's funny, because but it's funny because when we woke up, the people in the restaurant, they started laughing. And they're like, we were wondering when you guys were going to wake up. So when we rolled up to the drive-thru, they gave us our food and everything. They were just cracking up.
Was the engine running that whole time?
No, we had turned off the car because they were taking the way was kind of long.
That only happens at Whataburger that late at night. Is that not?
It wasn't Whataburger. It wasn't Whataburger. They didn't have a Whataburger near campus. Not that I recall.
That is so sad.
But there was this store. I remember there was a store near campus.
No, that is sad. You're not having a Whataburger nearby when you're going to school in Texas.
There was a store that had this convenient clerk that looked exactly like Ron Jeremy.
Maybe it was Ron Jeremy. There was only one way for you to find out, Ron. Did you find out?
We used to tell girls, hey, that's a porn star. That's the next porn star. That's Ron Jeremy. Like, what?
Did they ask? Is it like Milton Berle when he had the? Have y'all heard this bit?
No. Go ahead.
So there was Milton Berle evidently was known for being well equipped, and the joke was he belonged to I forget what they call the Beverly Hills Long Schlong Club, I think it was, and they would ask him about it. Said, "Are you really a member?" And he'd say, "I'll show you just enough to prove it."
Oh shit! So you guys are going to Houston to catch a game?
Yeah, well, we're gonna go cover the Mexico Angola. It's a Copa Oro warm up game. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing the alternate squad just to see if they're who.
Where is it at? Is it at the BBVA Stadium?
No, it'll be in the cozy confines of Reliant.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be.
I don't think it'll fill up.
Oh, it definitely won't fill up. It'll be nice and air conditioned for us, which is a big plus.
Yeah.
For a game being played in late June in Houston. So, yeah. So Chiquis, I'll be in the press box, and Chiquis, you have a camera.
Yep.
Of course, you have a camera, and Chiquis will be down on the field. So.
Oh, you want me to bring a legit camera?
Yeah, we'll bring both.
I need to. I might want to rent a lens.
We'll talk about it offline.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So it should be interesting. We'll see how that team plays out, and that'll be. Chiquis, we might have to bring our podcast equipment and do the show from the stadium, or at least part of it.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
They got some good Wi-Fi like in Azteca.
They actually have really good Wi-Fi, really, because I've done like 4 or 5 games there, so that
Wi-Fi was terrible when I was there.
At Reliant?
Oh no, at Azteca.
Oh, dude, seriously, I mean, you weren't expecting it to be good, were you? I mean, that's
the U.S. national team was complaining about it.
That the Wi-Fi was out?
It was slow.
Yeah, it was very slow. I was trying to Periscope, I couldn't do it.
But it's that seriously, that really calls it.
I mean,
it's how sad was that? I mean, seriously, that's just heartbreaking stuff.
But I imagine the Wi-Fi at Houston would be reliant or reliable.
Well, I mean, I can only speak for the password protected Wi-Fi that we get in the press box. I have no idea what it's like out in the stands. So usually it's pretty reliant for us. Hopefully, I would assume it would be the same. I think I know that, like, especially here at UT, they've put in a bunch of repeaters for the because I guess that's like they want folks to be connected there. So I'm sure that that's something that they'll have to ramp up at the Azteca to improve. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. Gentlemen, we should wrap it up here. We've been trying to wrap it up for a while. But I want to thank everyone for joining us here on the Cantina MX podcast. Chiquis, thanks very much.
Yep, thank you. It's been fun.
Ron, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you next week.
Yep.
Dan, thanks for hopping on.
Absolutely. My pleasure as always.
Rigo, a pleasure for joining us again this evening.
Thank you, guys. I'm almost a regular now.
Well, don't push it, buddy. No, I'm just kidding. No, we appreciate the input. Thanks very much for coming on again, and we'll have you on again.
Thank you, guys.
Joel, always a pleasure.
Likewise, John.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks everyone on the chat, Sergio and all the other folks that were on the chat. We do appreciate it. My name is John Jagu. We'll be on again next week. We'll let you know what day we'll be on because we really should try to come on at least if Mexico does make the semifinals, and maybe we'll do a post game or maybe we'll do one that evening. Hopefully, we will let you know either way on our Twitter feed or on our Facebook page. If you don't follow those, please do so. You'll get more information from the Cantina MX podcast there. So appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend. My name is John Jagu, and we will talk to you guys again next week.